Good evening and welcome. The wait is over. The 2016 IFSC World Championships and Paraclimbing World Championships are underway. I'm Charlie Bosco. Alongside me this evening I have two professional route setters, Vibes Maeta and Mike Langley, and we are live in Paris. And as I said, we've got two professional route setters alongside me this evening. First up, Mike Langley, you're going to be with me every minute of every broadcast this weekend, if we can keep the coffee flowing. So for viewers that might not be aware of you, just give us a quick history about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, thanks Charlie. It's an absolute privilege to be here in Paris. I'm Mike Langley, route setter for 10 years in London, climbing wall manager, competition organiser, and through the competitions throughout the UK I've kind of slowly been fed into the international climbing scene and just got so psyched for the international competitions, and it's just absolutely a total privilege to be here working alongside you guys. And here in Paris is the absolute pinnacle of the competitions. The setup, the size of the competition, it's going to be incredible.
And Vibes, we commentated together in Mumbai. If you watch our Boulder World Cup series, you will remember this famous face, Vibes Maeta, professional route setter. Again, for those of our viewers who didn't see you in Mumbai, tell us about your climbing and your involvement with competitions.
19h30, on s'occupera aussi de la voie des paras côté mur de 10. Et en simultané, on va y aller. Et là, je vais vous demander d'applaudir la première en demi-finale de la difficulté chez les valides et le premier en demi-finale chez les bloqueurs. Alors, côté des filles, on va accueillir l'incroyable belge, mademoiselle Héloïse Doumont, pour un applaudissement qui va nous rejoindre.
Yeah, we're here in the huge Accor Arena in the centre of Paris in the suburb of Bercy. Then we can have a quick look at it. And we've got an extremely full programme for you. For those of you who aren't familiar with the World Championships or maybe new to watching climbing, we hope we have lots of people watching who are new to our sport. This is the World Championships. This is separate from the IFSC World Cups that run throughout the year. This event only runs once every 2 years. The format is the same in that the number of competitors in each round, the scoring system is the same as in the IFSC World Cups for bouldering, lead and speed. But in terms of prestige and certainly the size of the arena and the spectators we have here, this is another step up. So this is the most prestigious competition you can win really within climbing. It takes place every 2 years. We've got a full programme in all 3 disciplines. And we can see there on the stage, Nate Kruder, because this evening the men's bouldering semi-final, and that will be running simultaneously to the women's lead semi-final.
Okay, I think that's really interesting, Charlie. What's going to be great about tonight is we have a full program, like you say, but it's lead for the women's semi-finals and boulder semi-finals for the men. So we've got action throughout the night in both disciplines. We have actually got the para going alongside, so we're going to try and catch up with a bit of that as well. But here we go straight into the competition. Nate Kruder, block 1 for the men, and we had a look at this one earlier, Vibes. This one looks absolutely horrific, contortion all the way.
Yeah, we're used to seeing Nate Kruder with quite the array of haircuts, everything from mohawks, ponytails, nothing wrong with the ponytail, Vibes, all sorts, but today he's gone short back and sides. I have to say I'm slightly disappointed. I saw him this morning and told him that hopefully if he makes the final he'll rectify it and pull out all the stops for us. But yeah, he's on men's boulder 1.
I think what's interesting about having Jone come out early is obviously a very seasoned professional competition climber. He's done many comps, and to him to come out 20th will actually give us a bit of an indicator of how hard these boulders are. He's got potential to make finals as well. He's out 20th, so it's going to be really interesting to see what Jone can do.
As we see there, the women's lead is running simultaneously. This is actually going to be a pretty fascinating broadcast because there's going to be non-stop action. There's not going to be any watching people chalk up on the bouldering mats. It's not going to be anyone cruising the lower moves on the lead route. It's going to be all action because we're going to cut between the bouldering and the lead and the paraclimbing. So a very full programme.
That was Margot Hayes there, I believe, on first women out onto the semi-finals for the lead for the women. I think, what do you think, Vibes? She got pretty high up there, but I mean, into the red section, the route setters were describing that the route does start relatively easy, but it gets really hard, really quick, and super steep. Their route does seem to take the steepest line through that wall, so the route setters are giving them no gimme.
Trying some different beta here. I should say, actually, I won't name him, although if you do come to the competition in the next few days and see the route setters, you'll quickly figure out who it was. But one of our route setters slipped whilst attempting this move right and is carrying two pretty impressive scars, one on his forearm and one on his forehead. So, you know, be careful. But the route setters believe, sorry to interrupt, Matt, the route setters believe that the best way of doing this move will be statically. We cut back there briefly and saw Yane flying rightwards. It is designed to be a static move.
I think Yane is one of those climbers who is one of the bigger competitors, and he has done a lot of dynos in the past, outside on rock as well. He really does know how to smash out a dyno, and he obviously didn't like the method of getting in the groove there, maybe because his height, he found it a bit too bunched. But like you said there, the route setters really do believe you have to get squirming on this one, get right in the groove and push it out all the way to the top. So out second on the women's lead.
Yeah, we've got Tina Jonsson Hafsas there on the women's lead.
Allez, c'est là qu'il va falloir l'aider.
Just as we cut back to Yone there, he's really not enjoying being in the groove on this. I don't think this boulder really suits his height. All the climbers are different heights. He is one of the bigger ones, like we said, but he's going to give it all. He's not actually got much time left, so come on, Yone, let's get it done.
He was one of the surprises actually in the qualifying round. I saw him just after he climbed. He was absolutely gutted because he was sitting either 9th or 10th in his qualifying group with pretty much everybody else still to come, and therefore convinced he wasn't going to make it into the top 20 overall, but he somehow held on. He had a pretty miserable day thinking he wasn't going to make the semi-finals and just about snuck in, and it's good to have him here. He is one of our top athletes, and it would have been a shame for the show had he missed it, but it shows just how strong the competition is that someone like he only qualifies 20th, and the man, as you've just seen very briefly emerging onto the match, Sean McCall, he only qualified 19th, another one who had a long wait to see if he was going to make it. He is of course competing in 3 disciplines, Sean McCall.
I think that's what's going to be interesting when it comes to Sean. 3 disciplines, that's action all days of the competition. He would have been here since early last week getting prepared for this. You have to wonder whether the fatigue will be kicking in for Sean. He has looked nervous all this week. I think this really does mean a lot to him. It's a bigger deal than other competitions on the World Cup circuit. But Sean McCall, coming out second in the semi-finals, qualified in 19th. Sean's won pretty much everything there is to win. So this will give us a good indicator of how difficult the boulders are. If Sean's on form, it'll be interesting to see kind of if the route setters have gauged the level right. How many tops will we need to get through to the finals?
Il n'y en a pas d'autres qui font les compètes dans les 2 catégories. En tout cas, il est très acrobatique, ça c'est sa manière de grimper. On a toujours Tina Jonsson Hafsas là-bas sur le côté. On peut l'applaudir.
As we can see there, as Tina Jonsson slips off.
Here we go then, back to the bouldering. Sean McCall's in the groove. That hold he's got his hand on is the bonus, and he really needs to get on the underside of that because the top side really doesn't have much on it. Really not looking very comfortable in there. I do wonder if the route setters have overcooked this one. They did say they didn't want a particularly hard start, but there's no such thing as an easy boulder problem in a World Championship semi-final.
No, just for those of you wondering how that move might be possible at all, the theory is that you press underneath that bonus hole with both hands and then gradually move right. As we see Sean climbing the lower section of the bowl, this hasn't proved too problematic for either him or Yane so far, but as I say, they're both very experienced, high-ranked climbers. Slightly surprised to see him this early on in the semi-final. Remember the climbers do come in reverse order, so if you qualify top in the qualifying round, you will climb last in the semi-final. So Yane and Sean qualifying 20th and 19th respectively. There's the bonus hold. So Sean needs to press underneath that with both hands, but a lot easier to say it up here in our commentary position than it is to do it.
Absolutely, Charlie. Us sitting here drinking coffee, we make it sound easy, but that is Sean McCall. He knows how to climb hard boulders, and yeah, I mean, what a camera angle that is there to give us a really good insight as to how hard these boulders are and how bad that hold is.
Ensuite, il était aussi vainqueur d'une Coupe du Monde en Chine en 2012, en difficulté 1 à 30 en 2011. Enfin, il a régulièrement gagné. Puis après, je ne vous parle même pas des deuxièmes places, il est incroyable. Alors là, on a le champion du monde du combiné. Ensuite, de l'autre côté, mesdames et messieurs, on va accueillir la championne du monde et le plus gros palmarès de tous les temps en escalade avec 6 titres de championne du monde. Applaudissements pour la Française, Charlotte Durif.
Don't forget, if you want to get in touch with us this evening, ask any questions to 2 professional route setters. Tell us what you think of this evening's action. Get yourself on Twitter, hashtag IFSCWCH. Don't forget the H if you usually tweet us during the World Cups. It is not the same hashtag. This is a new hashtag for the World Championships. IFSCWCH. Questions, comments, observations, predictions always welcome, of course. Let us know what you think on Twitter. And just so you know what we've got coming up in the next few days, there's going to be a steady stream, nothing short of a revolving door of co-commentators joining Mike and myself. We've got athletes from lead, boulder, speed, paraclimbing, we've got climbing coaches, route setters, hopefully some IFSC officials if their schedules permit. So we're going to keep you entertained with non-stop expert insight and analysis from everybody in the climbing world. So don't forget, get yourself on Twitter, hashtag IFSCWCH. You got any observations or questions this evening? And Sean McCall heading off, and no joy for either him or Yane on Boulder 1.
Yeah, that's really interesting, Charlie. To see Sean not get a top there, you do wonder if the rest of the competition is affecting his fitness, his strength, or is it just a really, really hard boulder? Only time's going to tell. We've got a long way to go in this competition. Sean's only 19. Position, but you can just look how horrific that boulder is. The route setters were saying that this wall here in Paris is quite different to what you would normally get for a finals wall. Not too many steep sections, lots of technical moves, lots of technical boulders, and they will have set a full challenge for the climbers with power, technical slabs, everything. But yeah, straight out the traps, men's number 1. The route setters, it's no thanks for coming boulder here.
Here's Charlotte Durif, a woman you might have expected to be slightly higher up the order, qualified 24th, but she made it, that's all that matters. Doing, we saw her on the speed wall earlier, actually got pretty impressive speed for a non-specialist in that discipline. And she's just making her way onto the lower volcano section of this women's semi-final route. This wall we have here, if it looks familiar, it is the same wall we had in Chamonix earlier on in the season, back in July, second week of July. So the routes, many of the routes were set there, albeit in secrecy.
Le japonais, il va surtout falloir se méfier des japonais parce qu'il a réussi le jeu de départ déjà. Ils sont très acrobatiques. Il y a une belle équipe les japonais. Ils ont fait des gros hold-up en 10 et en bloc, ils en ont gagné quand même pas mal. Allez Charlotte, allez. Et on va voir un petit peu le passage de Yarnay. Est-ce qu'il a l'air plus facile ce bloc numéro 2? Différent au niveau des sensations avec ses volumes.
It's worth remembering, of course, these athletes are under a lot of pressure, by which I mean the French athletes as well as all the other athletes, particularly the French athletes. We're in the capital city, there's a huge crowd, the crowd is extremely partisan. They want these French athletes to do well, they want them to win. So who copes with the pressure across all nationalities, but particularly the French, I think is going to be really key this weekend.
I think you can definitely pick up on that, Charlie. When you walk around the arena this week, the nerves just seem to be really high throughout the competitors. Everyone's kind of a bit on edge. I think that's due to the size of the arena here in Paris. The build-up has been absolutely massive, and I think it's going to be the climber who deals with that the best is going to come through at the end of the day.
This arena we're here in the centre of Paris is absolutely enormous. I literally gasped when I walked out the first time. It's been quite interesting talking to the people that work here because they've said, well, when Bruce Springsteen was here, we did it this way, and next week Justin Bieber's here and we'll be doing it this way. As if we wouldn't have had enough, you could hang on and watch Justin Bieber on Monday, but I think I prefer to be watching the climbing. But it gives you an idea of how big this arena is when you've got, well, more Bruce Springsteen than Justin Bieber, but major artist playing here is massive, and as you say, dealing with that pressure is going to be a key part of this. We can see that, Kruder, he's out onto boulder 2, our first look at boulder 2.
This is where things are going to start really hotting up now, Charlie. We've got 2 climbers out on the bouldering wall and a female on the lead. Charlotte Drift there on the lead will be relatively disappointing, that I think. She seemed to read the sequence perfectly, just powered out through the steepest section there, Vibes. That's what the route setters were saying, it was going to get pretty tricky.
Au deuxième essai, me semble-t-il, pour Takata. Allez, allez.
And we've had a top of the first boulder.
Yeah, Tamaki Takati there, making short work of that, so that gives us a little bit of insight. The first 2 climbers really struggled. Japanese once again dominating potentially, and just came out there and got it done.
Rebecca Kamin, next competitor for the lead, representing Slovenia.
Yeah, it gives you some insight into how strong that Japanese team is, and perhaps how lacking in form Yune and Sean are, because Yune, of course, he's won the Adidas Rockstars before, multiple World Cup finals. Sean, we all know about Sean McCall, World Cup wins in boulder and lead, over 100 World Cups entered. Neither of them could top that first boulder, and out walks Tomoaki Takata, tops it. So does that mean that Sean is tired, Yune's out of form, or does it just mean that Tomoaki is absolutely crushing right now? It would be very interesting to see for the rest of this semi-final.
I think that...
One thing to point out, we saw above Yune's head then, we've got these dual texture volumes, which we've seen in a few competitions. You can see there that perfectly cylindrical round volume there. So the left-hand side of that is utterly useless. There is zero friction, no texture at all. The right-hand side is very textured, high friction. On this boulder, it's quite key, because ideally the competitors would like to grab the left-hand side, but particularly on boulder 4 in this men's semi-final, those dual texture volumes are key. You'll see what I mean when we get there.
Here we go then with the next rotation in the bouldering, straight on with the action. Sean McCall moves on to boulder 2, and that move there at the start of boulder 2 is a particularly cool move. Route setters have done the crowd proud there. It's a bit of a sort of flying hand dyno into the sort of flag position, which is quite popular route setting right now. Sean McCall will be well aware what to do, no doubt, straight off the bat. Having said that, Yone Kruder couldn't really read that top section. I think the top section is harder than it looks, and possibly hard to tell from his screen there, but that is a slab, that top section, so you do a bit of a hand dyno at the bottom and it goes straight into some technical slab. It's climber's worst 2 nightmares put together, dynos into slabs. Well, I think so. Yeah, for sure. I mean, the show in bouldering has become more and more important. Just as I was saying that about Sean reading the sequence before he got on there, he has chosen a different method there. We did have a look at that as an option, but his burnt attempt on that, trying that method straight away. Just going back to what you were saying there, Vibes, yeah, the evolution of route setting competitions these days, the show is so important, especially here in Paris with potential 10,000 strong crowd or more. This place is massive, and they want to see a really good show, and that, the route setters can make that with the volumes, with the holds, with dynos, trick moves. That's not to say there won't be some old-fashioned hard pulling in there as well. You've got to test the climber's full skill set, so they will do that, and you'll see that when we move on to the green boulder. You can see on the left there in the men's, in number 3, that's a bit more old-fashioned in its style of climbing, but it just still looks like an awesome boulder.
Yeah,
Sean McCall then. Sorry, Charlie, just saying, Sean McCall just totally nailed that dyno second go, doing it a slightly different method to Yone. Let's see what he can make of the top section.
So Yone was disappointed to qualify in 20th, but so far he's not having much joy in this semi-final either. By the way, that is Keita Watabe on the right of your screens. If you are just tuning in, it's Charlie Bosco here. I've got professional route setter Mike Langley alongside me. He'll be here for every minute of our broadcast this weekend, provided our espresso runner does his job. And we've also got professional route setter Vibes Maeta. alongside us. We're going to have a revolving door of athletes across all 3 disciplines and paraclimbing. We're going to have coaches, we're going to have route setters. We might even have the odd IFSC official in the commentary box. So myself and Mike are going to be joined by all sorts of different guests to keep you entertained over the weekend. Right now we're off to a very strong start, of course, with Vibes, who commentated with me in Mumbai back in May.
Just you can have sorry Charlie, just have a look at Keita Watabe there. He is fully on board the struggle bus in that first boulder. He's wedged. You'll be able to see from this replay, hopefully, that he is. I don't think he's really enjoying himself out there at the moment. I think what's interesting as well is that the warm-up facilities behind the wall, I mean, they do have a good warm-up facility here in Paris, but it's so hard to warm up that sort of box splits, pushing and pulling. You know, you have straight boards back there, and I don't think they're going to have seen this sort of boulder coming straight out the traps into really physical work on the back, and that will tire them out for the rest of the comp.
So we saw earlier on Charlotte Jarif climb in front of her home crowd. She's taken an early lead here in the women's lead semi-final, 31 plus. Rebecca Carmin has also come and gone. She's on a 26 plus, currently sitting in 3rd place. Remember, of course, of the 26 female lead semi-finalists, 8 will advance to the final, and of the 20 male boulders in this semi-final, 6 will advance to their final.
What's really interesting here, just see Sean McCall there on the left, struggling again on boulder 2. Just as with
also have a look at Keita Watabe and seeing what he did wrong on boulder 1.
Yeah, I mean, Sean's going to be looking across his shoulder, seeing these guys getting tops. He's going to start getting very nervous right now. He really wants to make the finals. Here we go then with Watabe looking so close, finishes it. Oh, no.
Yeah, that last hold is not as good as it looks. When we were stood underneath earlier with Percy Bishon, who's our head bouldering route setter, and I was saying to him, it really looks like a jug, and he was saying, I promise, it is not a jug. And as we can see there, Keita gets a good hand on it, but it's not a jug. The best bit of the hold is actually the bit you can see as you look upwards. It looks like it's a really good hold, but it really isn't. We see there, Keita just going with a bit too much speed into the move there. So Alina Ring is out, climbing for Team Switzerland, the 18-year-old.
I think it's worth mentioning in the lead we do have 26 women through to the semi-finals, so the women's list is quite long, so we've got a full entertainment with the women tonight, so we may not be able to catch much of the leading just at the moment, but we will be heading back to that throughout the evening, keeping an eye on the results as we go. And like we said, it's an action-packed evening here in Paris. We're trying to keep up with everything at the same time.
Just to whet your appetite, by the way, I'm going to read out the last 5 climbers that are going to come in the women's lead. We're going to have Jane Kim, Anna Verhoeven, Janja Garmret, Mina Markovic and Magda Rock. So plenty to look forward to in this women's lead. As I say, that is running simultaneous to this men's boulder semi-final. We're going to try and bring you the best action from both. I'd imagine the men's boulder semi would be over slightly before the women's lead semi, so hopefully at the end of the broadcast we'll be able to focus solely on the women's lead. But for now we're giving you the best from both. And Alina Ring not being too troubled so far, just trying to fight the beginnings of the pump.
I think so far on this women's lead, we've seen a few women get through this earlier section. We do believe that to be relatively easy in the grand scheme of things. It's still a 45-degree overhanging wall. It's not easy by any stretch of the imagination, but as they move up towards this red part of the wall, route setters do believe that the route gets seriously hard all of a sudden, and that's what we've seen so far in the results. But as we go through the competition, no doubt we'll see some climbers getting much higher, and what we really want to see is the top.
Ça monte bien pour Alina Ring sur la voie de difficulté à droite.
I think the route setters were saying that the route actually climbed a lot more complex than it looks, and the volcano section in the middle, what the route setters are calling volcanoes, these big holes, are actually a lot worse than they look. And this is one of the sequences they were talking about that is hard to read. They were wondering if the ladies would match that hold on the left-hand side of the volume before moving up. And there is a bit of a trick sequence there to get them through quick. Awesome effort here from the Swiss climber.
Just to confirm, this is an early lead for Alina Ring. This is further than Charlotte Jarif got on this women's lead semi-route. So Alina Ring taking possibly a surprise early lead, but looking in complete control here. If you are new to our sport, we do hope we have people watching that are new to climbing. The scoring in lead is a single number based on how far up the route you get, so all the holds are numbered by our route setting team. And whoever gets to the furthest hold is a winner. Quite simple in theory. In practice we have appeals and the score can change slightly. If a hold that the route setters didn't believe was a hold is then used by a competitor, we can alter the scoring system. It's not quite as simple as it sounds, but it's basically whoever gets the highest.
That's right, Charlie, and going by the amount of reams of paper we have on the desk here, it's not that simple, but we will definitely do our best to keep track of that. And the route setter seems to have done a really good job on the route there. They gave us a good explanation. We can see back to the bouldering there. Jone is the first climber we've seen on men's free. Men's free has been nicely named as the giraffe by the route setters. Not sure which giraffes they're seeing, but it's a set of volumes that looks quite complex, but in reality, when it comes down to it, it is pulling on crimps on the tops of those volumes. And the penultimate volume there, which is the bonus hold, you do actually crimp just at the top back edge of that volume, which is can be pretty horrific. Pretty nasty. Out on boulder then, number one, the first time we've seen Sergei Tobichko from Ukraine. Another big climber also struggling in that groove section. The Japanese climber, they seem to make pretty light work of that. They are much smaller, and that seems to be a bit of a theme so far, but Jone Kruder on the left then making good progress. He was looking quite high there, but the sequence is relatively tricky, and it's powerful and pretty grim at the same time.
We can see that's fun to try. Apologies if you were having some issues with your sound on the live stream. I hear that we were having a few echoes and we could hear a bit too much of Chris, our resident MC in the venue. If you've ever met Chris in person, you'll understand that it's nothing to do with the microphone. He's always this loud, with or without the mic, in or outside a venue. But apologies if you're having some issues with the sound. Apparently it has now been resolved. And we saw earlier the scores come across the top of your screen. You saw across the top of your screen there the bouldering scores. We have a 4-tiered scoring system in bouldering. It's not quite as complicated as it sounds. The most important score is how many boulders did you get to the top of. If competitors are tied on that, it comes down to how many attempts that required. If they're still tied, it comes down to who got the most bonus holds. There is a hold halfway up the route that is designated as the bonus hold. And if they're still tied after all that, it's who took the most attempts to get to the bonus holds.
As we switch back to the leading, then we've got Delaney Miller from America. Delaney, really strong, really young athlete, and yeah, she's qualified well in semi-finals, did herself proud. Don't see the Americans that often in the World Cups, so it's brilliant that they're over here in Paris. Delaney making quick work of the bottom section.
Yeah, it's good to see Delaney in the semi-final. She's had a real up and down year this year, sometimes delighted with her performance and sometimes absolutely gutted. But she was somewhere in between when I spoke to her yesterday.
Delaney's one of those climbers who's Delaney's one of those climbers, sort of one of the taller climbers, really well known in the American comp scene, and us guys over here in Europe may not be quite so familiar with her, but has had really good results in the USA. It'd be absolutely brilliant to see her put in a really good show here for the crowd, and the crowd's building already. Come on, Delaney.
Yeah, Delaney, of course, commentated in Chamonix. I know a lot of people enjoyed that. She also attempted to commentate on the speed final in Chamonix, which ended up being cancelled, and she and I just sat and chatted about life, climbing road trips, like growing up in Texas. Had a really nice evening, but no climbing action, unfortunately. But she did join me for the lead finals the next evening when we had mildly better weather.
Well, there's definitely no chance of rain in here, Charlie, unless something really badly goes wrong with the roof. This is fully indoors, climate controlled, and the absolute perfect environment for competition climbing.
The one thing I would say is that there is a small number of pigeons that live in the roof here, so there may not be water raining from the sky, but someone might get unlucky over the course of the weekend. I won't say any more.
Well, and we've had over 500 competitors throughout the 9 different disciplines, this week, and it just shows you how popular the World Championships is here in Paris. 500 different climbers, and yeah, wow. I mean, here they are, and tonight they're supporting their fellow countrymen and countrywomen. Jalali making great work here. She's just slowly moving up to what we believe to be one of the harder sections of the wall. She's possibly not the fastest climber in the world, but looking really steady. No obvious shaking in the legs or in the arms there.
Jalali's a bit like Jane Kim in that respect. You just know what you're going to get. She's never going to be Adam Ondra racing up the wall. It's just going to be a nice, slow, steady pace. And she is chasing early leader Alina Ring.
Bon, on va commencer les paras, mesdames et messieurs, dans 1 minute. Et on va commencer.
Absolutely, as you can see, the sequence through here is really not very obvious. Delaney's really starting to fight now. Come on, Delaney. This sequence is really, really tricky. And we lose her early on in the route as well. The route setters possibly might be surprised by how many of the athletes we're losing low down on the wall here. I mean, that section is probably just under halfway on the route. Just as we turn our attention back to the bouldering, on Boulder 1 was first appearance here for Tyler Landman from Great Britain. Tyler, an exceptional outdoor climber, has pretty much climbed everything there is to climb in Fontainebleau. Has turned his hand back to the competitions recently. Well, again, not making great progress on Boulder 1.
Allez, alors le pas, nos grimpeurs para arrivent sur scène, on va accueillir donc du côté gauche la catégorie RP2 et le premier.
Tyler is known for his ability to sort of, on the steep ground, just flick through all the holds, just absolutely weightless. But the competitions is different, as we said earlier. The route setters are putting on a show of all the different styles. It's not just about pulling really hard. And yeah, Tyler's out of time, I do believe, unfortunately, but he's still trying. Just have a look at a replay here for you guys at home. You can just see how brutal this section is. Both of those holds there, the red holds, are really, really bad, and up close they are actually worse than they look on screen, which is going to be disappointing for those guys. But you can see Tyler gave it everything he had, but this time it was just too much.
RP1, on va retrouver first climber for the RP1, representing Netherlands.
I think what.
Qui va nous rejoindre.
Okay, so back out, just out for this first time, Sakura Hori. Again, another super strong competitor. Has been great throughout all of last year. A few mixed results this year, but here we have to have a look at the stats. But he has, I do believe, won a few World Cups. So Sakura Hori, it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. The Japanese team are absolutely dominating. And look at that, just knocked out the box splits, no problem.
Pourquoi le grimpeur a 2 cordes? Tout simplement parce que les paraclimbers grimpent en moulinette, c'est-à-dire assurés au sommet de la voie. Mais s'il y arrivait qu'il chute dans la première partie de la voie.
So we can see on the far left of your screen there, very briefly, that was Boulder 4, which is full slab climbing. Back into the action on 1 and 2 then. Sakura Huri not enjoying that just yet, but the Ukrainian climber Sergei doing well so far at the lower section. We've seen a lot of climbers not seem to be having too many problems with that, but nobody so far has progressed very high on the top section of the slab.
Alors, regardez ce qui est impressionnant aussi dans la catégorie RP1, mesdames et messieurs, on peut les applaudir parce que le tremblement, là, on applaudit. Big applaudissements, Fédé Benedictus, c'est la catégorie la plus touchée. Et c'est notre premier grimpeur qui vient de passer sur le mur. Là-bas, on a le grimpeur d'Israël pour l'encourager.
I think that's barely even climbing up there. That's just sort of pushing and squeezing. Here we go, Yone looking good now on men's 4 on the slab. The top volume there is completely smooth, so let's hope he doesn't lose a foot on that. He does bump up to the screw on, and these holds in the middle are smaller than credit card edges, I would say. Almost the screw heads are bigger than the actual hold itself. Looking back then to 1 and 2, Sergei having multiple attempts on number 2 and not finding a top just yet. It would be really great to start seeing some of the competitors get higher on this men's 2, but we have got a long way to go in the competition, and you know, if all of these guys were topping out, the route setters would be sweating. Sergei, 73, seems to be eyeing up the finish hold from halfway down the boulder. Looks like he just wants to go for the slam dunk. Yeah, I mean, he is a pretty big guy, but I'm not sure that's going to work for him. But maybe at this stage in the competition, with not too much time left, he really doesn't have many other options at the moment. Here we go, he's still eyeing it up as Sakuri is in the groove on men's 1. Both climbers equal on the wall, we're not quite sure what to do. Flexibility there from Sakura Hora is really, really impressive. Here he goes into the undercut volume. He's looking a lot more solid this time. Come on, Sakura. Slowly working his way through, higher and higher into the split. This is where one of the route setters cracked their head on the wall, so just needs to keep it in contact, keep stable. The foothold is on there is actually what we would call a dual texture, so it's pretty slippery. Once again, doesn't make it through.
No joy there so far, but Sergei Topishko, we've got to have a look him at on men's 2. Our first really good look at him. And we've had a brief substitution here in the commentary box. So Vibes has just nipped out for 15 seconds to hit the coffee machine. We've been joined by Robin O'Leary. He's a professional climbing coach, and the reason we got Robin alongside us, as well as his excellent chat in general, is his expert knowledge of paraclimbing. So Robin, just quickly run us through what you do with the paraclimbing team. And a lot of our viewers might not have seen paraclimbing. To me, it is absolutely unbelievable. We've already seen the blind climbers out earlier this afternoon, but just break down, what are the 4 main categories of paraclimbing? What are the 4 disciplines?
So we've had B2, which is visual impairment, but there's 2 different categories that we'll see today. So B2 is up to 5% vision, and then B1 is completely blind. So the other categories, you've got AL2, which is lower leg or leg amplitude. That can be anywhere from the hip
Alors tout à l'heure j'ai
all the way
annoncé
down. So
ici
you'll see some
dans les RC3 là-bas sur la droite, maintenant c'est un garçon. Alors c'était Daniel Bardavid et maintenant dans la catégorie RC3, donc à côté des filles là-bas, c'est Grégor Stellac, le Slovène, qui vient de s'élancer et on va envoyer dans la catégorie RP1 à l'intérieur du mur de vitesse, Connor King representing USA.
So in practical terms, the RP category, it's more a neurological issue rather than something necessarily that is visual to the public. Yeah.
the team captain, Team GB is Dave Bowe. Basically
Ça va être assez important à suivre. Oh, Mister, regardez qui vient d'arriver aussi sur le bloc numéro 1, mesdames et messieurs. Lui aussi, il a du talent. Gabriele Moroni, Italie. On va suivre quand même l'américain, Connor King, en catégorie RP1, qui sont les paras les plus touchés. Donc,
We're actually going to have Dave Bowes in the commentary box over the weekend, one of our many guests we're looking forward to welcoming. And we are going to bring you some paraclimbing this evening. And again, just going back to the paraclimbing, as we watch Sean McColl on the left of your screen, he's on that tricky men's boulder 4. Just going back to the paraclimbing, there are 4 broad categories of paraclimbing. We've got the blind climbers. Just break down what the subcategories within that are.
So B1 is completely blind, so if the athlete is below 2% of vision, they have to wear a blindfold. I think they all wear blindfolds anyway. B2 is from 2 to 5% vision.
And in real terms, what is 2 to 5% vision? What does that translate to? Can you describe that?
Yeah, so I asked our athlete, John Churcher, who's in the B2 category, he does have a set of glasses that you can actually kind of replicate.
Bon, après les garçons, il y aura les filles.
Like a very, very
Alors, côté de la catégorie RP2,
fuzzy.
je suis désolé, on prend pas prendre la place. Hein. Il y aura Alessio, italien, Alessio Cornamusi, Italie, for the RP2 category.
Yesterday his route was yellow, covered in chalk, and he said he could basically not see anything, which is incredible, really.
It's extraordinary when you think about in climbing how precise you have to be with your movements of your feet and your hands. But there's a system to enable the blind climbers to climb, and we saw you taking part early. Just explain what your role in all that is.
Aux côtés de l'américaine, mademoiselle Corpine.
Have a sight guide, so for John, I am his sight guide, and when we
Allez, sur le bloc numéro 2, actuellement Tyler Longman et Chuck McCall sur le 4, un bloc numéro 4 qu'on ne va pas oublier.
visualize the route,
Alors Sean, il est acrobatique, est-ce que les blocs adhérents comme ça? On va voir. C'est très beau, hein,
where the next hold is,
ce bloc.
so kind of 2 degrees, 3 degrees, 11 o'clock, how far that is, what type of hold they're going to. So obviously due to
Est-ce que le chariot il pourra repasser nous voir, là, faire un petit tour?
but yesterday we had a massive issue where the
Tic-et-tac.
bike frame system stopped working, so John was completely relying on our route readers. You could see me even though I was shouting.
Allez, attention. Regardez le grimpeur italien là-bas.
I think for me the paraclimbing is just so inspiring, and the crowd here really appreciates the effort that goes in with the paraclimbers and the support team that goes along with them. Off camera here we do have some of the paraclimbing going on, but like Charlie said, we will be bringing the paraclimbing live over the next couple of days, and I'm really looking forward to that. Just as we cut back to the bouldering for a second, Tyler Lamben and Gabriella Moroni on the wall. Tyler Lamben making relatively good progress here on men's 2, and we've not seen someone really get that high, but again struggling in the upper section of boulder 2. Just going back to the paraclimbing there, and when you're reading the route for the guys, do you have any particular techniques that you use in training to, you know, how do you get these guys up these routes? It's such a difficult situation.
So actually when I took on the role, I had no so
Incroyable ce qui s'est passé avec Sean, quand même. Oh, dommage. Alors attention, là on a, mesdames et messieurs, le français Romain Pagnou, qu'on applaudit s'il vous plaît, très grand grimpeur. Dans ce championnat du monde, Romain Pagnou, 8 des falaises. Et on a toujours l'italien là-haut, hein, Mister Alessio Cornamusi. Et Romain Pagnou, il va y avoir une bataille avec Mathieu Bénard là. Ça va être incroyable. Et l'américaine se grimpe très bien. Allez, Claire. Sur le même mouvement que la Suisse.
And do you try and create a set code? Is a, if you like, a universally accepted system for the sight guides, or do you and John just sit down together and over time it evolves?
D'ailleurs, la semaine prochaine, il y aura aussi un très bel événement là-bas, vers Péragude, à Cuba, pour les 30 ans d'un des premiers Open international d'escalade en France, sur falaise. Et c'est assez rare, on reviendra à grimper sur une falaise. Et il est bien, Romain Pagnou. On va l'applaudir, s'il vous plaît. Ça a été terminé malheureusement pour l'Italien de l'autre côté. Cette voix est très physique, là, la voix de Romain.
Let's just have a look at the bouldering brief. This is James Cassay, the Australian. We spoke to him a couple of days ago. You can see that interview on the IFSC Facebook page. Super motivated climber. He owns a Bayside Rock gym in Melbourne.
What's interesting about James, he's actually 31 years old, so he's probably by a margin one of the older competitors, and has had on and off really good seasons, made finals before. So he's a bit of a dark horse for tonight. I think he could you know, the way he was talking earlier on in the week, I think he could make really good progress, and it would be great to see James in the final.
Yeah, on B1 we have, yeah.
B2 just seems to be, the bottom section seems to be just burning a few attempts, but climbers are getting through it. Later on though, nothing yet. Yeah, really hard at the top of men's 2, which is a little bit of a surprise when we had a little read of that with the route setters. They seem to be kind of suggesting it wasn't that hard, but these are route setters. Yeah, they're a unique bunch.
Yeah, just to remind you, if you are just tuning in, it's Charlie Bosco with Mike Langley alongside me. Mike is going to be here for every second of our broadcast this weekend. We have a lot of climbing to bring you. We've got a festival of climbing, and temporarily we're joined by Robin O'Leary. He is a professional climbing coach, but we've got so many athletes, coaches, route setters, officials, you name it, lined up to keep you entertained throughout our broadcast this weekend. I recommend you cancel any social engagements, any climbing plans. Maybe I'd go for a beer in the evening, just keep yourself sane. But get in front of your computer and enjoy what is going to be an amazing weekend. And as I say, I hope we can keep you entertained with a stream of visitors.
Just as we head back to the female lead semi-final then, this is Dinara Fakutudinova. Dinara's had great results on and off throughout the season. She had a bit of a break for an unfortunate incident in Russia, but looking strong once again. Dinara's had brilliant results in lead and in boulder, so she's a really talented athlete, and the women's competition is really hotting up now in the lead, and we'll hopefully follow that for a little bit to see how they're getting on.
Just keep an eye on the top of your screen. We're going to flash the lead results across. Just to remind you, for those of you who are new to the sport, lead climbing is all about, in its simplest terms, who can get the highest up the wall. The holds are numbered, so the higher you get, the higher your score, and the higher you are in the ranking. Yeah, Dinara, of course, she was the victim of a stabbing in Moscow, believe it or not. So to see her back climbing at full strength is fantastic. Everyone at the IFSC delighted to see her back.
Yeah, Dinara, currently 23 years old, world ranked 17. She has made finals 8 times before, mixed between lead and boulder. Best result this season was 7th in Briançon. So she's definitely got the potential to make finals, possibly qualify slightly lower than she did before. Or has done before throughout the season, different seasons. 2015 was particularly tricky for her, obviously, but previous to that, great results, as we said, wins as well. So Dinara is no stranger to these competitions and looking really comfortable at the moment through this volcano section. Those holds do look like really big jugs, but they, as you can see there, the route setters have had to add some screw-on jibs onto the side for the thumbs throughout different elements of this route. This wall is actually, in this part of the wall, it's 45 degrees steep, so that's 45 degrees overhanging, which is very steep for a lead route. And the route setter said, you know, this is particularly steep for a lead wall, and as they move into this red part of the wall, it does actually get steeper and steeper, and they're almost traversing in a kind of a roof kind of position. Oh, just lost it there with Dinara. She'll be really upset with that, and you can see it on her face. Absolutely gutted. Dinara really just, I think she just had a slip there. Back here with Vibes, back in the booth. What happened there, Vibes? Dinara was looking so strong, and just she was out there. I think that's the, yeah, like you say, that is competition climbing. It's the hardest game out there. One slip in the lead and you're out, you're gone. Your competition is run. Great angle here on, this is men's 4 on the slab. You can just see the route setters have put on these horrific dual texture volumes, and that is pure slab climbing, absolute balance. And out here on boulder number 1, it's Manuel Cornu. Manuel had a bit of an unfortunate situation in Munich, possibly the epic fail of the century with his showboating.
There was me going to be nice about it. It's just been labelled the epic fail of the century. I love it. You've got to be brutal, haven't you? But yeah, and it just goes to show you these boulders aren't done till they're done. And Manuel, if you didn't see it, if you didn't watch our coverage from Munich, Manuel Cornu, he got one hand on the top hold. I'm sorry to remind him of this. He got one hand on the top hold, but you have only completed the boulder in the eyes of the judges when you've matched both hands in control on top of the boulder. He had one hand on top of the boulder, he spun round, pumped his fist to celebrate to the crowd and fell off. And when you've got a haircut like that, you stand absolutely no chance of it not being noticed. Not that he would have stood much of a chance anyway.
Yeah,
I mean, on this one at least, yeah, on this one at least, he was lunging for the hold and he didn't quite have it. But in Munich, sorry to say, he did have complete control with one hand, but not two, and celebrated a little too early. So, Manuel, it's the last time we'll mention it, unless you make the final, in which case we'll talk about it again.
So this is interesting in the men's competition. Manuel Cornu is actually coming out in 10th position, and we've not seen masses of tops so far. So it looks like a hard semi-finals here for the men, especially onwards from 2, 3 and 4. No tops and not much progress on any of the boulders really.
Et alors de l'autre côté, messieurs dames, on va accueillir les deux derniers de boss. La salle. Et c'est terminé pour Mathieu Bessin. Superbe performance.
Yeah, we have only had one top actually. That was on boulder 1 from Tomoaki Takata, excuse me. So yeah, the boulders prove extremely tough, and we got a good question here from Twitter. Don't forget, if you want to get in touch with us, it's hashtag IFSCWCH. Don't forget the H, new hashtag just for the World Championships. Philip Estrada, he wants to know, how do route setters determine routes that will test all styles of climbing, such as slab climbs and powerful climbs? And seeing as we've got 2 route setters in the commentary box, you guys are in a good position to answer this.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, one thing that is key is the facility. You've got to have a good wall before you can set a good comp. The wall here is, well, I mean, it's tricky for the route setters. It's not got your classic steep angles on it, so they've had to challenge the climbers in slightly different ways, but they will have a bit of an idea of what they want to do before the competition. They will chat it out. They will think about the different styles, and it's quite possible that they've planned out amongst the team who's going to do what style before they start. And when you set in Mumbai earlier this year, just as we look at Gabriella Moroni, first top on boulder 2.
That is our first top, boulder 2.
The Italian making great work of that upper slab, and the crowd were absolutely ballistic for that. Just going back to the question there, yeah, what would you say, like, to
Bon, voilà, 5 secondes avant la rotation. François, je te laisse encore du côté des valides. On va vraiment regarder le passage de l'Allemand. C'est le dernier là. Kolbinian Franck, qui pour l'instant fait une prestation hors norme. Et l'arrivée du Russe, Vladimir Nadzvetiev Dolgaliev. Le Russe qui fait son entrée pour la catégorie RP2.
I have to say, Vibes, if you weren't live, I'd accuse you of practicing that, because as you said, power, flexibility and compression. We saw Manuel Cornu jammed in between those 2 boulders, stretching his hips to full flexibility. Absolutely unbelievable timing. Well done. True professional.
So out now on men's boulder 1, we have Nathan Phillips. It's absolutely storming result for Nathan to get this high up in qualification. That was one of his best results so far in international competitions. Nathan's kind of one of those climbers who's come all the way through from the European youth comps, but now has stepped it up into the male senior category and has done really well in qualifying. Let's see what he can make of this groove.
Et Sergei Topichko sur la dernière du bloc numéro 4. Ouais, Corbinian Franck, normally will be world champion, we will see. On peut l'applaudir s'il vous plaît l'Allemand.
I think speaking of getting in finals, just looking at Nathan's results, first, third and fourth in European youth comps over the years, so he's no stranger to making it into finals. So I don't think he'll be that nervous. We talked to him earlier outside of the arena, and he seemed confident, just seemed chilled, and that's one of the most important things when it comes to competing, especially in an arena like this, just keeping your cool, dealing with the nerves, and when you come out of that isolation, just being able to perform.
japonais Tsukurori au bloc numéro 3. Bon, terminé aussi du côté, on va s'y habituer à force. Hein.
Yeah, I was going to say, one of just to give Nathan's dietary secrets away, Mike and I were sitting having a coffee in one of the Paris Boulevard cafes earlier on, as you have to do when you come to this wonderful city. As we see there, top on men's boulder 3.
Yeah, I do believe that's our first top, Sakura Hori there, getting boulder 3 done, so we do know it's possible. Crimping it down.
On aura, me semble-t-il, les RP3 qui sont à venir. Les RP3 qui seront sur la voie de gauche, là-bas en extérieur. Ensuite, on aura.
Yeah, I was going to say Nathan's dietary secrets, as Mike and I were sitting at the cafe and he walked past and I said, just chatting away as you do to Nathan, and Mike said, so have you eaten loads of pasta, you got yourself carb loaded for the event? And he said, no, I've had a ham and crisp sandwich. So there you go, if you want to climb a World Championship semi-final, ham and crisp sandwich. You can take the boy out of Britain, but you can't take the Britain out of the boy.
I do wonder what flavour though, Charlie. I mean,
well, that's the key.
secret?
Yeah, hopefully not chili. Don't need that much power. Hopefully, I'm a salt and vinegar man myself, but to each his own. We see. We're still not really getting on with this men's boulder 1, Nathan. He's figured out the beater, I think. Yeah, the underpress. Now this move rightwards here, it's really delicate. You can't quite see the angle.
Yeah, this last move as well, like we said earlier, it's a jug, but it's not a jug that's easily, you can't just slam dunk it to. Great example there, Nathan Phillips, he thinks it's a jug, but I mean realistically the way it's been put on by the route setters. Great example there of what the route setters have created for boulder number 4 with Sergei from Ukraine there. It's just so frustrating, this type of slab. You come out, you're warmed up, you're full of power, and you're dealt with basically no holds. Well, and as the person on Twitter was saying, this is an example of all the different styles. Number 4 is a pure slab climbing, and slab climbing is not particularly popular in training for these climbers, but in the World Cups it has become more and more popular, this style of slab, testing the climbers in their anti-style really. Speaking of anti-style, Nathan's almost facing the wrong way there, trying to figure this boulder out, trying to get round this horrific blob section in the middle.
Brava Lucia. Regarde, terminé pour Nolwenn. Derrière Nolwenn, on accueille la japonaise Yuka Kobayashi.
Yeah, for sure.
Nathan not delighted with that. I think he knows he was fairly close there. We've got Yuka Kobayashi here on the women's lead route. So these, just to give you some idea of where she is, she's still on the very lowest section of the route. There are 4 main panels to this lead wall here in Paris, and they get gradually steeper before the first 3 get gradually steeper, I should say, before the final one kicks back slightly. It's still overhanging, but it's mellower than what's come before it. But Yuka Kobayashi's still on the second section, and we can see above her there the change in angle. There's the angle for you.
Don't want to curse Yuka too much, but she is world ranked number 8 and has made finals this year in Chamonix. So kind of hope for big things from Yuka here, and hopefully start seeing some of the women getting higher up on this route, start seeing some of the moves at the top of the wall. As Charlie said, she's still very low down still, but Yuka is an excellent route climber from Japan, as part of a very strong Japanese outfit here in Paris.
Yeah, we've already seen her in 3 finals, no less, this year. Chamonix, Vila and Arco, which is only 3 weeks ago, something like that. So Yuka will be very optimistic for a place in the final, but that is not the way to do that clip. Just needs to compose herself through this volcano section. It's not the hardest section of the route, but it's incredibly steep.
I think that might be nerves showing there for Yuka. She knows what to do. She's read the sequence, but she's just possibly a little bit nervous, and you start making these small mistakes. The crowd has absolutely erupted here. Just as you can see on the left of your screen there, Manu Cornu makes a top in men's 2, and when a French athlete does well, we certainly know about it.
Yeah, we've got 2 French athletes on the stage right now as well. Michael Mawem is also out there, he's on the right. Let's have another look at Michael's attempts on boulder 1. You can see that move right is absolutely desperate.
I was just reading last night, actually, the Mawem brothers did Ninja Warrior together in France, so if anything's going to work, surely boulder 1 is right up their street. Yeah.
Ah oui, le chronomètre il s'est arrêté là, du côté. Vous avez vu du côté du bloc. Le chronomètre a figé.
Both competitions really starting to heat up now, just as we try and keep a track of everything that's going on. I hope you guys are enjoying it. There's so much action here in the arena, so much going on. Back with the Japanese climber on the lead into this tricky section that we've seen a number of climbers fall on so far. Let's see what she can do through this section that's really hard to read and is really, really steep.
Yeah, to give you some idea, Yuka's about 10 places short now of our early high point. We're already almost halfway through this women's lead semi-final. There are 26 climbers taking part. After 13, the route will be clean. So if we pan out and you see someone cheating, pulling on the quick draws, they are not cheating, pulling on the quick draws. It is the route setters cleaning the route. So the Yuka Kobayashi should be followed by Katarina Posch, and after that the route will be clean. So Yuka coming out 12th. And we see her there.
Just falls once again in that really hard section. We've seen so many climbers drop there. Be interested to check the scores and see how close everybody is.
I think that'll be a third as things stand for Yuka, possibly tied with Charlotte Jurif. We'll check when the scores are confirmed. We've had it. Yuka's off the stage. So you can see, keep an eye top of your screen, the provisional lead climbing results. So yes, it is a tie with Charlotte Jurif. I thought that might have been a 32 for Yuka Kobayashi, but no, 31 plus. She is behind Charlotte Jurif on count back to the previous round.
Just as we look at the bouldering there, Charlie, I do believe there's a technical incident in the men's bouldering, so they are on pause at the moment. I do believe it's to do with the timing system. The officials seem to be making short work of it, but we'll keep an eye on that, see what's happening. Hopefully we can just check back into the leading to catch up on the action there, but currently no climbers on the wall with the bouldering.
Tyler Landman not looking over the moon. To see Gabriele Moroni walk off. We will investigate and let you know.
I think that's the last thing you need during a semi-finals of a World Championships is a technical situation. Like I say, Charlie said we will keep an eye on that, but we are back with the leading.
Yeah, just to keep you up to date, there are no climbers currently on the boulder wall, and the time has been frozen at around 2 minutes and 20 seconds. I'm going to leave you in the very capable hands of Mike Langley, professional route setter, and Vibes Mater, professional route setter. If it gets too route setter and geeky, I can only apologise. I'll be back as quickly as I can before they get into the technicalities of knee bars and open hand crimps.
Yeah, thanks Charlie. On the wall now, Katarina Posch, 22 from Austria, part of an extremely strong Austrian contingent here in Paris. Like I said, world ranked 12, and she has made 9 finals in international since 2012. She's 11th places in 2016, which is 2 in leading and 1 in bouldering, so she is definitely no slouch. And even on the outside climbing game, she finds that really important as part of her training. Has previously climbed 8C routes outdoors, so it just proves how strong these athletes are.
Good job, Melinda. She was in second position after the qualification. It can be good for her.
What's interesting when we look at the Austrian team is there's actually 5 Austrians that have made the semi-finals. That's equalled by 5 for the French, but they are quite easily the 2 strongest nations when it comes to women lead, so it'll be quite interesting to see what their national setups are and what the coaches do to get so many strong Austrians through to these later stages in the competition.
So I've just been down to check why the men's bouldering is currently on hold, and the reason is that the timing system has stopped here in the arena. We have a technical person who is currently trying to fix it, but the clock is stopped at 4:20, not 2:20. We're sat at a bit of a funny angle to the wall, can't quite see the timer, and it is stopped at 4:20. So everything stops, the competitors have been taken off the stage. When they come back on, they will resume with 4 minutes 20 left of their round. So no technical appeals, just an issue with the timing system.
At least that makes life a little bit easier here as we can focus on really incredibly talented climber Katarina, as we once again we move into this red section of the wall that has stumped most climbers so far. We've not seen much progression past the upper section of these volumes. These climbers, as you say, Charlie, are really struggling through this bit, and they just, I don't know, the route setters did kind of warn us that this was a really hard to read. Lots of different stuff going on, and it is super steep. The white section of the wall you can see there is 45 degrees, and this red section is steeper than that. But Katarina is working hard here, but making decent progress. Oh, once again we lose someone there, and the route setters did say that was a crux.
Allez Oriane, allez. Allez, c'est une voie dure, hein. C'est aussi dans le setup des ouvreurs. Et voilà, terminé pour
that was Oriane Moreno of France in the RP3 paraclimbing category. We just see her lowering off there. They are competing. If that wall looks familiar, that's because they are competing on what is usually our speed wall. You can see there the Accor Arena. We don't have a sellout this evening here on Friday night, but tomorrow and Sunday this whole place will be packed. It sends shivers down the spine, to be honest, because the atmosphere is already superb. There must be at least 2,000 or 3,000 people already in the arena. What it's going to be like when it's full, I can't begin to imagine. And we see there the route cleaning process beginning. Jan, our chief lead route setter, being belayed by Adam Pustelnik, one of the very popular co-commentators. He's joined me a couple of times already this season. And we'll just have a look at the early results. So Claire Brefind of the United States, she currently leads the way with Alina Ring. Charlotte Jarif is currently in third. In fourth place, Yuka Kobayashi, we saw her climbing earlier, fifth. Katerini Posch, who is currently in fifth, we've just seen her. And then Eloise Dumont is in sixth place. Margot Hayes and Delaney Miller make up the rest of the top 8. However, we still have 13 climbers still to go.
Yeah, it's a long way to go still in the competition, like say, 13 climbers. That's a lot of people to hopefully get a bit higher on the wall. Up next will be Molly Thompson-Smith from GB.
Actually, Matilda Becerra. Sorry,
apologies.
Mike.
So we are having just a cleaning break at the moment. The bouldering is back on, which is good news for all of us, especially those in the arena. Technical incidents being sorted.
How do you think that will affect the competitors? If you go out to climb, the timer stops through no fault of yours, and you go back in, do you think that's an advantage? You've got longer to think about how the moves felt?
But again, the thing is, the more you wait, because you...
Okay, so from United States of America, come on, for Maureen.
lose the track. So it can work both ways in track.
Yeah, I think you are waiting, but you lose your flow completely. It breaks your rhythm. Just as we have a look, Gabriella Moroni crimping the top of that volume. The route setter said that is the intended method, almost the back edge of the wooden volume. Gabriella Moroni is no stranger to a crimp, but not enjoying that.
He's going to have another go though. He's just off camera, but he's just walked off the mats. There's quite a big gap here in Paris between the mats and the edge of the stage, so climbers can get well clear of the wall, stand well back and have a good look at it, and that is what Gabriella is doing. Quick recap of the early results here in the bouldering. So Takuru Hori leading the way. He's ahead of Tomoaka Takati. Gabriele Moroni is currently in third. Yannay Kruder, we saw him earlier, he's in fourth place. Sean McCall fifth, and Sergei Topishko. If the semi-final was to end now, they would be the top 6 advancing to the final, but there is of course a long way to go.
Just as we look, Tyler from Great Britain on the wall there on the slab. He is quite good at climbing slabs, but I think what's going to be the biggest shock about the men's is Sean McCall, which is very close to being out of the runnings already for finals. Currently sitting in 5th with a lot of climbers still to come. That's a big upset already tonight.
Yeah, we've got an incredibly strong list of climbers still to come. Jeremy Bondet, Alexei Rubtsov, Rustam Gomanov, Jongwon Chong, Kokoro Fuji, Albon Leviat and Tomoa Narasaki, all still to come. So Sean, you suspect, in trouble, but of course competing across all 3 disciplines here in Paris. A busy man already. I guess at the very least you would say it gives him a bit of a break.
Here we go now as we back into the groove on boulders number 1. Mauem's been so close to this finish hold. Can he get it done? Just needs to stick the hold in a bit more control than last time. The crowd really building for Mauem here. Come on. Allez. Come on. Yeah, looking really good this time. A lot more solid, a lot more control. Surely this is at the top. Come on.
The crowd going wild.
Brilliant effort there from the French climber. He did have that technical instant halfway through his attempt, so you know you would seemingly think that that's helped him out there, but he still had to climb that boulder that not many people have topped. So, and he seemed to change his method halfway through, so he learned from his mistakes, and that's really key.
French crowd going mad then. Don't forget, you can also choose to watch our stream with French commentary on YouTube if you so choose, and you can also, if you want, watch just the lead. So you have 3 options. You can sit here and listen to us, you can listen to French, or you can just sit and watch the lead. Obviously, if you choose to watch just the lead, there's no commentary because that is not the stream that we are commentating on. But you've got 3 options. Again, the boulder routes just getting a bit of a clean there as we watch Tyler Landman, and these dual texture volumes, we can see them in action here. The key one here is that final one on the right, the top section. Obviously the one bit you want to stand on has, I'm not going to say no friction, almost no friction.
Great angle there of Tyler. That wall is quite slabby, so he can get his weight on his feet, but I do believe Tyler once again has run out of time, and that seems to be a bit of a theme.
Tyler not looking too happy. No, he didn't look too happy. He didn't look happy at all when we had the issues with the timer. Now there's a familiar figure, a familiar silhouette. Boulder 1.
Yeah, Adam Ondra.
Adam Ondra, great to see him back. We saw him in action in Arco, made the final, but no podium in Arco about 3 weeks ago in the league competition. He is, of course, the reigning Boulder World Champion and the reigning lead champion. An extraordinary double in 2014. He had an advantage then in a way over this year because then they were 2 separate events. We had the bouldering separate to the lead, whereas here in Paris they're all together in one weekend of non-stop action. So Adam, the reigning champion in both disciplines, never been done before. If he could retain them, my word.
Yeah, Adam Ondra, pretty much the best rock climber, competition climber that's ever existed. 7 World Cup golds, 6 silvers and 3 bronzes. This is the guy to beat. Little Polar went out on 8A.NU, had him as the favourite for this competition, so not sure how much we'll read into that, but this is Adam Ondra. He can pretty much do anything. Yeah, absolutely, and Adam Ondra making short work of this so far, using his extra long legs there for great effect.
I was about to say this would be a boulder that suits Adam. Most climbing of most styles everywhere in the world suits Adam. He can just climb, but I do really think this boulder will suit him, because one thing that's amazing when you watch him climb close up versus other climbers, if you ever get the chance to be down the front when these guys are on the boulders, his movement is unbelievable. His understanding of where his centre of gravity is and what all his limbs are doing and how they'll affect his movement is extraordinary.
Just have a look there, Charlie, just how smooth Adam Ondra is. To come out and climb like that in front of this crowd at the World Championships just shows how good he is.
Allez, attention pour la Belge, championne du monde, Elodie. Allez, les 2 derniers mouvements pour Elodie, allez. Allez, Elodie, tranquille. On y va à la main gauche. Le public, les Français, les Belges, s'il vous plaît, pour célébrer. La Belge. On va prendre de risques. Et on peut l'applaudir. La championne du monde. Elodie Orben. Allez Mathilde de Becerra pour sa moitié demi-finale.
Fantastic news for the sport. We can't wait to take it, and it's fantastic that just a month after that announcement was made, we're here in Paris with all 3 disciplines, because of course all 3 disciplines will be going to the Olympics, and some of the climbers are trying out speed for the first time this weekend just to get a feel for it, try and understand what they're going to need to practice in the next 4 years. But yeah, Adam Ondry's walked out. I believe that was a flash on boulder 1, climbed it superbly, and as I say, that is a boulder that will suit him, that innate understanding of what your body is doing and how to make it move the way you want it to. Adam is the master of that.
Speaking of what your body's doing, Charlie, Nathan Phillips here on men's 2. Got a bit of a cheeky toe hook around the corner there. Didn't seem to give him much advantage as we take a new look at boulders numbers 3, James Cusset, and boulder number 4. Sakura Hori is always doing well so far, currently in first place with Flash, boulder number 3, but he moves on to number 4 and he's onto the really slippery volume section. It'll be great to see some progress on this boulder. And great technique there on the slab. Sakura has to just keep breathing through this section, really try not to wobble off. And reaching for the bonus, secures it nicely. And what's really tricky on boulders 3 and 4, it's just the endurance that it takes to get through to this stage in the competition already. Sakura not so happy with that. Take another look.
And we've got a question on Twitter here. Don't forget, get yourselves on Twitter, hashtag IFSC WCH. It's our special World Championships 2016 and Paraclimbing World Championships 2016. Hashtag Kelly O. This is perfect timing after we watched Adam Ondry and discussed his ability to move so well on a wall. Kelly O says, so much of learning to climb well is focused on the physical. How should a new climber learn to read routes or body positions?
Well, I think one of the great things to do is to try and climb with climbers who are better than you. That's what I did when I started climbing. It really helps, and try not to be kind of put off by their ability, but just hopefully find the right partner in climbing. That really makes a difference. You can learn from them.
Applaudissements pour l'équipe de France et l'Italie, s'il vous plaît.
Don't forget, hashtag IFSC WCH. Now, Jakob Schubert, he of winning Boulder World Cups and Lead World Cups. He knows his onions, as they say. He is going to be joining us in the next 10 or 15 minutes in the commentary box. So if you have any questions for Jakob Schubert, IFSC athlete, only competing in the lead here in Paris, but if you have any questions for him, get on Twitter, hashtag IFSC WCH, and when he arrives in the commentary box, we will ask him.
Just as we look back on the men's boulder, we now have 3 French athletes out on the wall, combined with Gabriella Moroni on number 4 from Italy. But the crowd has definitely got more lively here all of a sudden. 3 French athletes. Jeremy Bonder, one of my favourites to watch, so animated on the wall. He's a real character. And
so determined. A boulder like this, where it's a battle, you'd have thought Jeremy is going to get on with this, if for no other reason, just because he's a scrapper. He just keeps going, he keeps battling.
That's right. For me, definitely, I'd love to see the emotion on the climbers' faces. The kind of really stoked climbers, that doesn't do it for me. I love to see the guys who are giving it everything, kicking the chalk bag around the arena. That's what we want to see.
So if you're just tuning in, I've got Mike Langley. He is head route setter at the Castle Climbing Wall in London. And we've also got Vice Mater, IFSC route setter, who co-commentated in Mumbai. If you watched what was an absolutely fantastic, dare I say it, my favourite final of the year in Mumbai. Don't know if I can say that, but hey-ho, it's my favourite final of the year. Yeah, Vive's commentated with me the semis and the finals in Mumbai, and he's here again in Paris. Now a resident of Paris, not a bad city to live in. And there's a good bouldering area just to the south, I believe. Fontainebleau or something. Fontainebleau, something like that.
Never heard of it. Never heard of it.
No, apparently it's quite good though, with a couple of boulders.
speaking of Fontainebleau, Jeremy Bonder actually lives in Fontainebleau, and he's one of these guys. He's just crushed absolutely every boulder there is in Fontainebleau. So he's he's not afraid of doing a hard move, and nor is
Manuel
Cornu out on 3.
No, Gabriele Moroni, he is not.
I do believe that would be an early lead for Michael Mauam. That's why the roof is nearly just blown off the arena here. 2 tops in some attempts. He'd had 1 in 3 already before that boulder, so it'll be two not too many attempts, so that's a really good start.
He's the only climber thus far in this semi-final here in Paris with 2 tops in the men's bouldering semi-final. Remember, if you are new to our sport, we have a 4-tiered scoring system in bouldering. The most important score is how many boulders did you get to the top of. If the climbers are tied, it comes down to how many attempts those tops took. If they're still tied, it's who got the most bonus holes. Each boulder has a bonus marked with yellow tape. You can see it there momentarily, everybody. And if the climbers are still tied after tops, attempts and bonuses, it comes down to number of attempts on the bonuses.
Here we go then, back with Jeremy. I do believe it's just under a minute left. 49 seconds, in fact. You can see the clock off to my left. Come on, Jeremy. The crowd really want to see him get up this. And as the guys were saying on the scores, we're starting to get a bit of a feel of what it's going to take to make the finals. Currently, it looks like 2 tops as a minimum will be a start. But 2 tops, it's going to be hard to get. Jeremy looking really good now on boulder 1. This is a similar methodology to Adam Ondra, and dials in the finish hold. Jeremy Bonder, good start.
Yeah, it's worth remembering that top hold he's going for, the route setter said, is not a very good hold, and when he went for it then, I thought he might be optimistic. Well, let's see it again. It's not nearly as good as it looks. I haven't been up there, but they tell me it's not as good as it looks. And when he went with that left hand, I suspected he might have blown it, but no, made it work. And that's what it feels like to top a boulder in the semi-final in front of your home crowd in the biggest arena in France. Pretty nice feeling.
Adam Ondra back on the wall on number 2.
It's a lot of Alexei Rubtsov's out as well. There's a lot of horsepower in one camera shot there. Alexei Rubtsov and Adam Ondra. Alexei, incredibly strong climber, and Adam Ondra, reigning world champion in both lead and boulder. There's James Cassay on the left attempting this utterly desperate men's 4 that hasn't yet seen anyone really come anywhere near a top.
I do believe that means with Adam and Alexei we have the world champion and the world number 1 currently on the wall at the same time. So if we don't start seeing tops now, something's gone wrong. Just speaking to some of the athletes backstage earlier, they say Alexei is one of the finest athletes out there, and the way he trains is incredibly professional. Some of these Russian guys, along with the Japanese, no one quite knows how they do it, don't quite know what facilities they have, but whatever they do definitely is working. And Alexei is one of those climbers. He took a little time out of the scene, came back in Munich earlier this year and just dominated straight away. And how he does that, just takes a break like that and just comes in and starts winning. It's every climber's dream to be able to perform like that.
Le côté où ça a claqué là, c'est Nathan Philippe, très bon grimpeur aussi, hein, Nathan Philippe, dans la catégorie qui était jeune. Et bloc réussi au premier essai pour Alexei Rubtsov.
It's really, yeah, it's really interesting here because Yannick Kruder and Sean McCall came out first and second into this men's semi-final, and both of them really struggle with men's 1. And given their calibre, we wondered if it might be a bit too hard, if the route setters maybe overcooked it, but it looks like they've judged it to absolute perfection, because as the climbers have come out, theoretically the strongest climbers come out last, having qualified higher in the qualifying round. And now we are seeing more and more tops on that boulder 1. So initially we were a bit pessimistic about whether we'd see many tops on it when Sean and Yannick struggled, but no, we are seeing plenty of tops, including this man, Adam Ondra, now making his way up M2. It has been topped already.
Yeah, it'd be great to see Adam Ondra, see what his method is here. We have seen a lot of climbers earlier, like you say, Charlie, struggling on this men's 2, but it has been topped. It'd be great to see, look at that for camera angles, brilliant to see what the climbers are actually dealing with there. The route setters have been a bit crafty and actually filled the screw holes on these volumes, so there's no cheeky crimping of the screw holes. They've got a bit of silicon in there. They've brought out some special tricks out the route setter's tool bag. But look how hard it is. Adam Ondra, strongest climber in the world, not enjoying himself.
Allez, pour Anna Schubert, please, Austria. Ok, terminé pour Anna. Come on, kid, come on.
Yeah, I know Tyler Lamb in the British team is particularly well known for crimping the screw holes. And it was funny when he pulled out onto the slab because he went hunting for them, but they were nowhere to be found. Cheeky route setters have filled them in, but Adam Ondra, you can see how psyched he is for this. He's really, really up for this competition.
Adam Ondra looks in fantastic shape. He's leaner than he has been in previous years. He's one of the heavier climbers, Adam, as well as being taller. He's certainly not a super skinny climber. He's pretty thick set. He's a pretty solid build, but he's looking leaner than he has previously. Been climbing a lot outdoors this year, but he has been training for Paris. He wants to retain his titles in both boulder and lead. He's going about it the right way in this semi-final so far. Top the only boulder that he's been on. Now attempting to top men's 2. He's got about 50 seconds left on the clock to do so.
Yeah, looking good. Come on, Adam. Come on. Oh, it looks like he secured it, Adam Ondra.
Well, reigning champion. I don't know what else we expect. 2 tops from Adam. That'll put him into an early lead along with Michael Mawem.
What's interesting there, Charlie, he did still have to fight for that. He was getting quite short on time. So, yeah, Adam Ondra, he is Adam Ondra. He still has to work hard to get these boulders done.
James Cassay battling with this men's 4 so far. Defeated everyone who's attempted it. James has got 15 seconds on the clock, so he's going to have to climb this very, very fast. Even the start is hard here.
It's just worth noting on the time, these guys have, it is the 5-minute format, so it's 5 minutes on. There's no extra time once you start. 5 minutes is up, that is it, you're off, and that's the case with James. 5 minutes is up, good night.
So Rustam Gelmanov has just emerged. It's going to be our first look at him. There he is. If you don't recognise him, he's gone for an absolutely radical haircut. He's not often I'm lost for words, but look at Rustam's haircut. I think I'm very much lost for words. He's kept his ponytail, but he's lost the rest. I think if you could do that sort of, face swap thing that seems to be quite popular these days, if you could do that with me and Vibes with haircuts, keep his ponytail and the rest of it be my head, that's pretty much what you'd end up with.
Well, Rustam Gelmanov is one of these climbers, absolutely loves a crimp, but he's not going to find any on this block, so let's see how he gets on with the more slopey problems. And
he's not going to find many in this semi-final, to be honest. If you think about the boulders we've had, maybe it's slightly on boulder 3, but yeah, on the face of it, may not be a set of boulders that suit Rustam, but he's just such a good all-round climber. Has, of course, won the IFSC overall World Cup title back in 2012, so
Rustam, I'm really definitely looking forward to seeing him this weekend. I really do hope he can progress to finals. Such a great athlete to watch. He's one of those guys. I was actually talking to him yesterday, originally from Kazakhstan, and was actually interested in alpine climbing, more up your street, Charlie, when he started. But his friend took him to an indoor wall, and he basically could do a one-finger pull-up before he even got out of bed, and thought, well, I'll just stick with this.
yeah, I think if I'd taken to climbing like that, maybe I'd be a bit better at sport climbing, but you get dealt the hand you get dealt. I don't grumble. Now then, Manuel Cornu making excellent progress here on men's 4. Remember the top of that final volume that he's about to put his foot on. You see he's toe hooking it to try and avoid it. The top section is very low friction. It's low friction tops. The bit you want to stand on is awful. Although, to be honest, the route setters think that to do it you do need to stand on the top. It's not really getting much out of it, it's more for balance, and Manuel's figured it out better so far than just about anyone else.
Here we go, then can we get a top? Oh, Heartbreak Hotel on the last move.
Allez les Suisses, là pour Anne-Sophie s'il vous plaît, là, encouragez-la. Allez Anne-Sophie, faut résister.
Jeremy Bonder looking good so far in the competition. Bowlers 1 and 2 done. Moving on to 3 and 4, we have seen less tops on those. But Mao has been high on this bowler 3 on the green volumes. Like we said earlier, this is a bit more of a basic problem. There seems to be a chant gone up in the arena here.
You've got to enjoy this, these French athletes in front of a home crowd. The biggest arena, I believe, in France. That was the statistic I was told. So, got to make the most of it, got to enjoy it. Manuel Corner just getting the crowd on side. He's got about 1 minute and 20 seconds left on the clock.
Pressure really on here for Manu, because he knows what to do here. He's been really, really close to the finish. The crowd's behind him. Does have just over 1 minute left, so this will be most likely his final go. Got to make this work for him to get a chance of progressing.
Come on, Manu. Be great to see a top of this men's 4.
Oh, in style.
And there it is. Just enjoying the moment.
That's going to mean a lot to him in front of his home crowd. That was absolutely stunning the way he just took a breath and just casually went to the finish hold.
Let's have another look. Let's have another look at it. Good angle this. We see him go for it. Really in control. And once he had that left hand, never looked in doubt. He was in complete control. Great. Took a couple, banged his head against the wall. Just enjoys the moment. He knows that's a good performance. Whether he knows that's the first top of men's 4, I don't know. We'll go back to Rustam. So Rustam, he doesn't like men's 1. He's off.
Just remind you. Good start for Rustam there. That's a bit of a turn up for the books for him to struggle on that.
Just remind you, Jakob Schubert, IFSC athlete, this time only competing in lead, not the boulder, although he has won World Cups in both. He's going to be joining us very shortly. If you've got any questions for Jakob Schubert, get on Twitter, hashtag IFSCWCH, our special hashtag for this competition. And those results are not up to date. Manuel Cornu has topped men's 4. We will get some up to date results for you very shortly. And Adam Ondra's back out, and in the background, a legacy Rubsov, a World Cup winner on the IFSC circuit already this year.
We're just trying to keep up the scores here as much as we can. We do a number of climbers now, 2 or 3 have 2 tops. We're looking for 3 tops. Adam Ondra there on number 3, having a look at a hand jam. He knows Percy Bishton, one of the route setters, does like to fondle a hand jam, but he does assure that's not the method. We haven't seen the hand jam go down yet, but Adam Ondra possibly likes a hand jam.
There's
Alexei, on va voir comment il va s'en sortir évidemment. Adam Ondra, il en a 2, et pourquoi pas 3. Et puis dernier passage pour Nathan Philippe. Alors Christine Kant, elle a l'air de finir la saison.
Yeah, John Monchon, a number of these climbers just exploded onto the scene a couple of seasons ago and just started to dominate instantly. It's such an interesting climber, just 20 from Korea, currently ranked world number 3, has had a 3rd, 4th, 1st, 3rd and a 2nd, so this guy's really, really on form. We're really getting to the real meat end of the men's competition here, down to 16th place, which is qualified in 4th, Jong Won Chon. He will be followed by the last 3 athletes, Kokura Fuji, Alban Levier and Tamara Nagasaki. So these are the guys who are potentially going to be making the finals if things go down how they should, but this is bouldering and anything can happen. You can see just here, Adam Ondra, what a close-up at how small these crimps are. Yeah. Yeah, I think he did actually want, he had his left hand on that top hold. I do think he wants his right hand. If what the route setter said is true, only time will tell. Just have we look back at Chong Won John. looking good in the groove, but I do wonder if he's got a, some sort of issue there in his back with the amount of tape he's got on there. Do hope that doesn't affect his performance.
Vu qu'il y a d'abandra dessus, j'aurais dit moins prolifié, mais ça peut servir. Bah, un Pokémon, c'est pas peut-être qu'il a fait international.
I think what you're saying as well about it being a long season, a lot of the athletes here this week have said that. They're just saying they've really been through the grinder through this season. There's a lot of travelling, and they're actually tired when it comes to the World Championships, and they're trying to peak as well because this means so much to them.
Attention, Alexei qui lui aussi a pas l'air de rigoler, le russe. Davai, Alexei, davai.
Correct, you remembered the H, well done. Thanks, Vibes, we'll see you shortly.
Just got a great close-up here of the men's slab. Those holds are as bad as they look, and they are very, very bad. Nathan Phillips is a really good technical climber from Britain, has done well on the technical routes in the past. Looking quite good here, but we've seen a number of climbers get to this position and struggle, and just not quite there for Nathan. Just tried to rush it at the end. I don't think any way through that final boulder, as we're joined by Jakob Schubert, I don't think you can rush any of that section, Jakob, on the men's number 4. I was just saying that men's number 4, there doesn't seem to be any way that you can rush through this slab.
Yeah, as I say, we've got Jakob Schubert with us here in the commentary box. Don't forget hashtag IFSC WCH if you have any questions for him. And you decided you're just doing the lead here in Paris. What's it like for you to watch a bouldering semi-final, a big bouldering event, and not be on the stage? Does it make you want to be up there?
Anyways, it's fun to watch. Those bowls are super technical. I know that I would have such a hard time
And you've already climbed here in Paris on our big wall in the qualifiers for the lead. What was it like climbing in the arena, and how are you feeling ahead of the semi-finals?
Nothing really sketchy. If you were strong enough, you would make it to semis. Yeah, takes away a lot of pressure for the athletes. Pretty hard to climb here, so some of those goals just make it more difficult because the humidity is pretty high. That's definitely really cool to watch. I mean, the atmosphere is already great here in semis.
And what's your impression of the boulders that you've seen so far? What are your first thoughts having watched the other climbers on them?
Actually, like holding on to holds, it's a lot about reading the boulder right and doing the right movements. It's like boulder number 3 is mostly it's the steepest one where you actually need to like hold on to the boulder. The others are a lot about technique and standing on your feet.
Just with perfect timing, we cut there to Mikael Malwem on that desperate men's 4. And what are the conditions like? Give us an insight to our public at home when you're out on the stage, having climbed on this wall here. You were saying it's quite humid. Are conditions quite poor for climbing, or is the air conditioning helping? What does it feel like on the stage?
Championship is the most important comp of the year. It's hard to get that out of your head completely, so I think more nervous than you usually are. There's some more pressure obviously on the fabrics going into this competition, and yeah, that makes it even more exciting to watch, I think.
We're just having our first look at one of our favourites for this bouldering, Kokoro Fuji, but as he waits for his next attempt on boulder 1, I'm just going to have a quick look at Jeremy Bondet, the 2 French climbers, him and Mikael Malwem next to each other. Yeah, you've been preparing for this event. How much do you focus on this event versus World Cups? Have you been specifically trying to peak for this?
Especially in lead, it worked pretty hard. We had a lot of World Cups going into this event. There wasn't that much time after our tour to
Salomé, elle a 8 minutes pour arriver au sommet de la voie et au début on arrive à voir si elle est décontractée ou pas. Et ben le début de sa voie il est juste parfait pour le moment à Cocotte.
And do you taper? I mean, do you just have a week off before this where you just relax, or do you train right up to the last minute? What's your tactic?
No, yeah, pretty much train up to the last minute, kind of. I mean, obviously the last training sessions you do a little less to try not to be like super tired. And then I took like 2 days off before going into this event. But yeah, I mean, I'm doing just lead, so my schedule is not as tight as, for example, Adam's. So it's not as bad to recover from each round.
Just have a question here for you, Jakob. You can see Rustam there really struggling with men's two. If you were in this situation, I can't help but thinking, what would Jakob Schubert be doing right now?
Allez Salomé, on va regarder un petit peu les yeux rivés sur
Oh my God.
la 10 là-bas parce qu'il va vraiment falloir encourager, les parties vont être terribles. Et vous gardez bien les yeux aussi sur évidemment le bloc. Et ça a l'air de bien se passer en moins d'une minute.
Do you find that you kind of get down when you can't do a move? You know, you probably have an idea that people might have done this. Obviously they're in isolation, they don't know exactly what's happened, but they're going to get a good vibe of what's going on. Do you?
Allez Cocotte. Et terminé malheureusement pour Salomé Romain qui ont terminé sa demi-finale. Allez, plus que quelques secondes pour terminer ce bloc.
How much do you compare notes with the other climbers after a comp like this? If you're sitting in a cafe in Paris now, do you talk about how you did the boulders, or do you just try and forget about it?
Il revient très très fort avec une fin de saison impressionnante. Applaudissements pour Monsieur Alban Levier.
Some guys solve a really hard move. Yeah, figure out betas together, and it's definitely something you can learn from, right?
I think the thing I can always relate it to is when you do your exams at school and you come out and you say, what did you put? And then you're absolutely destroyed when you realize that they had a much better answer than you.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, especially in finals in bouldering, once everyone has done the first boulder, there's often like a lot of time where you have to wait if the boulder is hard. I mean, you wait 5 minutes of every climber, so you got a lot of time to talk, and then you often talk about the last boulder you all did, and you're like, oh my God, what, you sent it? How did you do that? And it's actually pretty fun talks in ISO sometimes.
If you're just tuning in, we've got IFSC athlete Jakob Schubert alongside myself and Mike Langley. Mike and I are going to be with you for the whole weekend through this live streaming of all these events here in Paris. You can get in touch on Twitter, hashtag IFSCWCH. And we have a question on Twitter from Kinney Mod B. She has a question for Jakob, but he's just taking a drink of water, so we will give him 1 minute to compose himself. Yeah, if you've got a question for Jakob, hashtag IFSCWCH. Yeah, question from Kinney Mod B. Jakob, could you speak a little about your off-season plans or projects that you're facing after this comp?
Elle aussi, alors, elle a décidé cette année encore une fois de jouer la difficulté, on va pas trop lui mettre la pression, mais le jour où elle décidera de faire du bloc, pour le combiner, elle va être forte de partout. Alors, plus que la vitesse à affiner, et pour Tokyo, ça peut faire très mal là.
C'est vrai qu'elle est assez polyvalente, elle a toutes les qualités pour représenter la France au JO.
Il y a Mamie qui est dans la salle, il y a papa, il y a tout le monde. Depuis toute petite, elle fait partie des meilleures grimpeuses françaises, voire internationales qu'il y a. Elle a gagné nombre de podiums évidemment européen, championnat du monde aussi, les titres sur les podiums du championnat du monde, bloqueuse sortante depuis l'âge de 10 ans, on va la laisser tranquillement rentrer dans sa voie.
And we've got another question on Twitter. Peter Menke, he wants to know what is going through your head when you're on the wall. And I guess as part of that, how do you stay focused on what you're doing?
It's an interesting question. I think if everything is going really well, then actually I don't have any thoughts in my head. I'm like so focused and I don't really think about anything.
Lâchez pas Julia, si vous voyez les choses hors normes, vous l'applaudissez s'il vous plaît, parce que chez les filles, il en restera 6 à venir derrière. Allez, Alban, qui a du mal à caler son grand écart là, sur un écran géant.
We've just got Alban Levier out on men's one. He's the second to last climber, only Tomoe Narasaki still to come. So Alban Levier, the 19th climber seen today. Just as a follow-up to that, how do you achieve that focus? What can you do to get yourself in the state where your mind is just empty, you're just climbing?
Automatically, if you try like super hard, if something is on your limit, you try like really hard, you don't really have the time. Or yeah, your whole head is focused so hard on the whole that you can't really think of anything.
It's interesting. It's the mental strategy, particularly for an event like this. It's huge, isn't it?
Mostly if you have like, for example, if you have like a huge rest, that's the time where you can't start thinking, and that can be dangerous sometimes as well.
So a rest is not always, you know, a 100% positive thing, because your mindset can start to change. You think about how far you've got to come. You start overthinking it.
It's good to like cover your and focus again. Already read the route a little. Get super hyped up for the next route. If something goes wrong in the route or if you like miss a clip and then you need to clip again. You could slip and you're like able to slip back. I think those are the times where your flow is kind of interrupted and you might start to.
And this is our very first look at the upper reaches of this women's lead semi-final. That's a face of effort right there.
She almost missed that hold there.
Great effort there from the French climber. That's one of the first climbers we have seen. Julia Chaudhary there.
Julia Chanaudy, almost certainly she knows it. Look at that smile on her face. Yeah, we're just going to recap the women's results. And there we have it. That's pretty up to date for you, Julia Chanaudy. She takes the lead with 44 plus, much further than we've seen for anyone else. Of course, 8 climbers progress to the final out of this women's semi-final in the lead competition, and we've still got 6 to come. So Julia Chanaudy, she is guaranteed a place in the final, because even if the 6 climbers who are still to come finish ahead of her, she will be 7th, which will be enough to see her into the final. And there is Tomoe Narasaki, many people's favourite for this competition, not from the polls we've seen online, but those who've been watching the World Cups this year have him down as certainly one of the favourites, if not the favourite. Jakob, I'm going to put you on the spot, and you won't like this question. If I gave you €10 now, and you can bet on any climber to be Boulder World Champion here in Paris, where's your money going? I can give you a second to think if you need.
Especially because some of the climbers have already climbed semis and some haven't. I know Tomoe climbing seems like in World Cup he's an amazing climber. He's really strong, the most dynamic boulders, those smoky boulders. I don't think like super technical boulders here. The wall seems like really slabby, so I think at a boulders
Alors derrière Julia Chanaudy, attention parce que celle qui va arriver, elle fait partie de la jeunesse, même catégorie que Julia, une peste au niveau du mental, elle est autrichienne.
I think what's interesting about Tomoe is this season so far in 2016. if you look at his results, first, second, fourth and a first, this guy is absolutely on fire in 2016, and seemingly, you know, he's obviously been around the circuit a little bit, but what are these Japanese climbers doing to get so good and so consistent?
If I would know, then I would do it.
J'imagine depuis combien de temps il est sur le circuit. Quand même, Rustam, la première fois qu'on l'a vu arriver en France, c'était à La Colmiane, sur l'Open international de La Colmiane. Il est arrivé et il a tout pété. À l'époque où Jérôme Meyer grimpait encore, des mecs comme Jérôme Pouveau, des garçons comme Daniel Dulac. Et il nous avait impressionné par sa manière de se tordre dans tous les sens, Rustam.
Allez, on a gagné sur la dalle, pilote numéro 4. Not only how like the way he won in Munich was just crazy. He like kind of walked every single corner. It was so impressive. And I also saw him warming up in semis, and yeah, this guy's just super strong. Super strong. It's not everything in bouldering.
Et c'est un peu comme Manu Cornu, hein, Jérém, c'est pas la patience à l'état pur. Hein. Mais il peut l'avoir. Il serre les dents. Oh, le grimpeur de Cahors. Il reste 1 minute 15, hein, il peut le faire.
Ah ouais, là, il a compris le line.
Si Manu Cornu a réussi à être patient, il peut tout servir.
Rustam, il est bien reparti. Fouti, il s'est réorganisé.
Just have a quick look back here at men's free. Rustam Gilmanov, if anybody can crimp their way up this problem, it's him, but even Rustam is struggling on men's free. Do you think the route setters might have overcooked this?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, we could say some of the scores might be too high. Like boulder free is the one boulder where you actually
Get on.
I think only worry to
Allez, Jérém. Ça doit faire mal. Allez, Jérém, allez les Français, s'il vous plaît, pour Jérémy Bonnet.
What's interesting here with Rustam is, similar to Sean McCall, seems to have come out struggling compared to what we've seen from these climbers earlier on in the season. You know, Rustam and Sean surely would have been safe bets before the competition started, but both of them are struggling.
Bon, c'est bien, il y a du monde quand même, on n'a pas vu, on était trop occupés tout à l'heure. Hein. On commence à se détendre un peu, ça fait du bien. On a quand même animé 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 voix en même temps. Ça, tu l'as jamais fait. Là, je crois qu'il y a un Japonais qui s'est énervé derrière nous. Là. Alors, attends, on va être sûr de ce qu'il a dit à son ami.
Yeah. Well, just having a look at the scores then, Jakob, looks like Manuel Cornu currently leading the way with 3 tops in 6 attempts. Adam Ondra 2 in 4, and Mikael Mauem. These results are obviously provisional as we move through the competition. They are coming in on the fly, but there is so much going on here in Paris. We're just trying to keep a handle on everything. But it looks like 2 tops in not many attempts might be enough to get you through to the final.
Yeah, you can see the results coming across the top of your screen there. Manuel Cornu, he'll be a popular early leader. Adam Ondra. That will make very happy reading for the French public. 3 of their athletes in their top 4. And
not to forget, sorry Charlie, carry on. I was just going to say, not to forget that Team Japan are hot on their heels and they're out on the wall at the moment.
Of course, still a long way to go in this boulder final, and of course the women's lead final, which I think will run longer than the men's bouldering, so semi-final I should say for both events. So we will be back there. You see there Sean McCall, he won't be making the boulder final here in Paris. John Won-Chon there.
De toute façon, les Coréens et les Japonais dans ce style de il est quelle nationalité l'ouvreur là?
Yeah, I think John Won really needed that actually. He's not done so well on the other 2 boulders, so it's going to be interesting to see if he can make finals, but that is definitely not going to hurt getting up that problem.
Pour taillader le bleu, allez Jessica Jones. Ça c'est pas bon ça, le coup de Michel comme ça, généralement c'est Bon, avec Jessie, on peut s'attendre à pas mal de choses. Est-ce qu'elle va réussir à envoyer?
Absolutely zero room. And we've got another question actually, I think related to bouldering from Alec Dolliver. Excuse me, Eric, if it's Dolliver or the French pronunciation. I'm going to say Dolliver. He wants to know, how do you fight fatigue in these competitions? Do it when you're doing so many difficult problems. What can you do backstage to recover?
Jessica Pills, she will be in final tomorrow.
Depends on the boulder. Like some boulders are not physically that tiring. Like for example, boulder number 4, you stand mainly on your feet, so it's not
Oui, parce que les
physically
filles qui font la
that
demi-finale
tiring.
maintenant seront en finale demain soir. Pareil pour le bloc masculin. Et ensuite, on décalera demain matin. On aura les demi-finales de bloc filles et 10 garçons. Allez, Alban. Allez.
Allez, ça monte bien avant. Get that. Drink some water. Just really relax. I mean, there's not that much more that you can do.
Just as we look back on the wall, Alban Levier, the only climber to get 5 tops in the qualification, making good progress here. The crowd's cheering him all the way, but you can just see how grim that is at the top of this slab. Really giving it 110%. Come on. Really getting sweaty here watching Alban. Oh no.
You can't help but get involved. Jakob Schubert sat next to me here in the commentary box and he had his head in his hands when Alban fell off there. You can't help but get a bit involved, especially when they're climbing in front of their home crowd.
Ok, prochaine compétitrice à rentrer derrière Jessica Pills. On va retrouver sa copine qui cartonne normalement les DJ. Vous auriez dû envoyer du LNFAO avec Parti Rock. Mesdames et messieurs, Magdalena Rock, Austria. Et Magda, elle est actuellement 4e du classement mondial, collée derrière la coréenne Kim Yae-in.
So Jakob, we're going to let you go, but you are going to join us again later in the weekend, right? Great, well we will organise the time and place during one of the bouldering finals, possibly the men's boulder. Does that sound okay for you? Well, of course, you will be unavailable for men's lead. We know that for the final. We know so. We'll be cheering you on. Thanks very much for joining us, and we will see you later in the weekend.
Just we cut straight back to the action. Alban
And
Levier,
unfortunately,
heartbreaker there.
Yeah, Jakob has to leave on a heartbreaking note as Alban Levier slips off again on men's 2.
Alban Levier currently struggles on boulders number 1 and boulder number 2, so he's going to have to do really well on 3 and 4 to have any chance here of making it to finals, but even that might not be enough.
And back in the commentary box, Vibes Mace is back. He's been subbed out. Luckily, he likes a coffee, so he gets a little breather. But yeah, that was Jakob Schubert. He's going to be joining us later in the weekend, probably for the men's boulder final. We will grab him after this to confirm. But yeah, that was Jakob Schubert. Vibes is back. As I say, keep off the geeky route setting, you two.
Just as you were off stage there, how did it feel like when you were in the arena? Did you get a bit of a feel of the atmosphere here in Paris?
Ça va pas durer longtemps là, le bloc numéro 2, il va l'avaler et le démonter. Regardez la souplesse, ils sont souples les Japonais. Très agiles, très acrobatiques. Allez, gamba, gamba. Gamba, tomo, allez, gamba.
Oh!
Oh mon Dieu! Oh le mec il a des ventouses sous les doigts.
That was extraordinary. The foot came off. How on earth he stayed on, I don't know. Pure strength.
That was quite similar to how Jeremy Wonder ended up catching that final hold there. And have another look. It's just so close. The contact strength for these guys is insane.
That's unbelievable. That is open hand strength, 100%.
Par contre, est-ce que Rustam, à ton avis, ça peut lui convenir le bloc numéro 4?
Just on the left of your screen there, you can see Rustam Gelmanov is on the slab. Rustam really hasn't taken part in this finals yet. I mean, nothing to his name. I'm sure he's going to be absolutely livid about it. He's really not having a good night.
Yeah, you can see the scores across the top of your screen. We were having a few delays on the scores, but they're coming up thick and fast now. But Rustam, he won't play any part in the final here in Paris. Yet to top a boulder. He's got 2 bonuses, but well down the order. Currently sitting in 16th, so he won't be making it to the final. Perhaps a loss for the show, you could say, but it goes to show just how tough these boulders are, that someone like Rustam Gelmanov can't top one of them. And if he's going to top one, he's Going to have to top the one you think that would suit him the least, this men's 4.
That's right. If you have a look at the results now, it's French number 1, Czech Adamondra 2, then it's France, Japan, Japan. So it is kind of going as the form card would say, Team France, Team Japan.
Yeah,
and obviously Adamondra thrown in for good measure.
Manuel Corner, the only person with 3 tops in this semi-final here in Paris. We also have the women's lead semi-final going on. If you are just joining us, Vibes Mater, professional IFSC route setter, and Mike Langley, professional route setter, both alongside me in the commentary box. And we've got the men's bouldering semi-final and the women's lead semi-final going on simultaneously. Don't forget, hashtag IFSC WCH on Twitter if you'd like to get in touch. Any questions, observations and predictions, we always welcome the predictions, mainly because nobody ever gets anywhere near it. It's been such an unpredictable season.
I think looking at the results is interesting. Sakura Hawley, the only climber to top men's number 3. So men's number 3 is really putting the cat amongst the pigeons, as they say. For those outside of Britain, you probably have no clue what I'm talking about. Yeah, men's number 3 is really causing trouble, and the climber out there at the moment just sitting on the mat looking at those holds thinking, what on earth am I supposed to be doing here?
Non, il n'y est pas ou non, il ne lèvera pas le bras. Ah, il bouge cousu. Ok, compris.
Yeah, you're right. 2 tops. You're well corrected, Sakura Hori and Chongwon Chon. And the way Chon did it was like a walk in the park, effectively.
So let's have a look. Russam, he won't be making it to the final here in Paris. His World Championship will end in roughly 25 seconds. Can he walk away with the top? He's got a very delicate and slow move to do, and he's got 15 seconds remaining to do it. He won't be doing it. No, Russam Gelmanov, unfortunately.
I think it's a real shame to see Rustam not performing tonight. I know the crowd love to see Rustam do well, but it proves how hard the final is, and it proves how strong the field is. It's so deep and wide, the ability levels throughout the competition. I mean, so many of these guys are climbing at a similar level.
Elle a failli arrêter cette année, et puis au dernier moment, elle a décidé de revenir. Applaudissements pour la tornade slovène, Nina Markovic.
So as John Chon, we saw that superb top from him on men's 3. He's now on to number 4, and Alban Levier, who we saw battling on men's 2 as a heartbreaker. Jakob Schubert was alongside us, and even he looked devastated when Alban didn't quite make it. You couldn't help but feel for him. He gave it 100% in front of this Paris crowd. He didn't quite make it, but he's out onto men's 3. Chongwon Chon with that superb top on men's 3 now faces the technical battle that is men's 4. It has been top though. It can be done. It is possible to do this boulder, as we've already seen in this evening's semi-final.
When that's where the ability of these athletes really comes to show, because Chongwon Chon had a really crimpy, fiery, like 45-degree overhanging wall, and now he's on the absolute opposite end of the difficulty spectrum in terms of slab climbing, and to be able to be really good at all of those is what it's going to take to get through to the final.
Allez, Nina, c'est de la puissance à l'état pur, Nina. Il n'y a pas de sensualité dans sa manière de grimper. C'est une machine.
Alban Levier now on number 3, struggling with the sequence. You can just see great angles there, just how difficult this problem is. And just underneath where he's got his left hand there is a small screw on hold that he's trying. He did really need that, would appear, with his right hand. But it's just really hard to get the sequence right. And you can see down on the left, there's lots of different triangles of, there's a lot of different options to the feet, and it's a really hard problem to read. And I think that's adding to the difficulty for the climbers. It's not only hard, but it's difficult to figure out what on earth's going on.
en bloc, une participation en vitesse. Elle a 47 podiums dans sa carrière, 22 première place. C'est surtout une grimpeuse très physique. Alors attention parce que là regarde, quand tu regardes le palmarès en 2015, elle gagne.
Just to remind you, if you're just tuning in or on YouTube, you can watch the stream of the women's semi-final for the lead instead of joining us. On YouTube, you can select that option. Obviously, you won't get any commentary because that's not what we're watching, but you can watch the women's semi-final lead. We are trying to cover that and the men's bouldering semi-final. It is action-packed here in Paris. Over the weekend, however, the finals will be live-streamed individually. We'll have the women's final in the lead and boulder and speed, ditto the men. So you will see every move from every climber in every discipline if you watch our coverage. Right now we're covering across 2 events. Apologies if you're missing some of the action you'd like to see, but you can choose to watch just the lead without commentary on YouTube. You can also choose the French commentary if you'd prefer.
If I was at home, Charlie, I'd get as many computers as I could find, get them all out on the table, and I'd get the French stream, this stream, lead and boulder, I'll have it all, yeah.
You just have a multi-stream geek sitting in, I can imagine Mike sitting in his pants with a bag of crisps and 3 screens going.
Well, the crisps were working for Nathan, so you know, there's nothing wrong with a bag of crisps.
Exactly, you just need to combine it with a ham sandwich, you're into a World Championship semi-final. We've got a question here from Tim Saville on Twitter, it's #IFSCWCH. If you've got any questions for our experts, he wants to know, what is your best climbing workout or training plan? That's a broad question.
Le passage qu'a laissé sur le carreau tout à l'heure, Jessie. Allez, Lina, Heidi. Alors qu'il va rester 30 secondes du côté du bloc, Heidi Lina. On peut l'applaudir Nina Markovic, s'il vous plaît, parce qu'elle fait un travail remarquable. Heidi Lina, voilà.
I think what's interesting climbing that has changed over the last few years is how many people now have a climbing coach. Climbing coaching has become a much bigger profession, and it is a profession. Climbing coaching is really, really important. Most of the top athletes here have a coach, but even at a grassroots level, the individual at the climbing gym, you can get coached from an early age, and the techniques and the ways that people are coaching excuse me, is becoming much broader, and that's maybe a good way to go these days.
Go to the top, Lina.
I think, like you were saying about how it works for different individuals. For me personally, you know, I've never been an elite climber, but for me, just climbing has always been my preferred method. I have done the odd bit of training specifically for projects outdoors, but competition climbing and outdoor climbing are very different. So you've got to choose kind of where you want to go with it, and just do what you enjoy, and that's the main thing. Just keep climbing fun throughout.
Okay, so remember that after the competition and the semi-final, we will have all the awarding ceremony, paraclimbing awarding ceremony at 9:30. Les podiums, François, on va les faire à 9h30, juste après les 2 demi-finales. Du côté du bloc, on avance très très bien. Du côté de la 10, derrière Nina, il va nous rester 3 grimpeuses.
That's right, just back in the action then. Tomoa Narasaki on men's free. Really, Tomoa, we would hope to see up men's free, and Kokuro Fuji on 4th, but both climbers from Japan struggling. That's not been a theme for the season. These guys have been performing really, really well throughout, yeah, both kind of standing on the floor, not really sure what to do themselves.
No, it's interesting. You got from left to right, number 2 and number 1 in the overall rankings from the Boulder World Cups this year in 2016. Tomoa Narasaki, of course, you may remember, pipped Kokoro in Munich. Kokoro just didn't really turn up that day, and Tomoa took the overall title. So they, from this season we've had this far, are the best competition boulders on the planet right now, according to the IFSC World Cups. So let's see what they've got to give on these final 2 boulders in this men's semi-final here in Paris. As I say, if you just join us, we are sharing the stream with the women's lead semi-final, but you can choose to watch the lead on its own if you want to.
Just as we have one of our final looks at here at Men 4, it's great to get a close-up. That fourth volume there on the right that he's leaning down to is completely smooth on top. That's designed to make it kind of what we would call low percentage kind of boulder problem. It's designed to make people fall off. It's designed to get split results. But at the moment, the whole problem isn't really getting top. They're not really getting past that section. So the route setters kind of done their job well there. As we say, sorry Charlie, I was just going to say the results are provisional, but Manu Cornu from France still sitting at the top of the pack with 3 and 6, and so he is by far and away kind of the best result here so far tonight. 2 in 4, 2 in 5 following him, Adam Ondra and Mikael Mauem.
Yeah, Tomoa Narasaki, you could see him there just chalking up with his back to camera. He's looking a bit despondent here. Looks like he just needs a bit of progress on this men's three. It's difficult when you keep trying, you don't feel like each attempt is better than the last. And it seems like Tomoa just needs to make that one extra move or find that one extra bit of beta that's just going to power him on.
Shows how close his competition is though, that if he finds a top here or on number 4, he might have a good chance of making final. So it is really, really close. So he just needs to keep battling all the way through until that 5 minutes is up.
Yeah, 2 tops will almost certainly be enough to see you into the final here. Tomoa, no, still not quite getting on with this men's 3.
He has only got a minute left, so if he doesn't get this done, it's going to be down to the slab. And if anybody ever wanted a nervous situation trying to climb a slab to get into the World Championship final, it's going to take a lot of effort.
As a perfectly timed replay actually from Sakakura Fuji. He wasn't really on a move, he was just shifting his body weight ever so slightly to the right and came off. His slab is so delicate. We were on the stage earlier with the route setters, and you put your hands on those starting holes. I can't even believe they can get their feet off the ground, but the move right, it just gets more and more desperate. It's a fantastic boulder this, but absolutely at the top end of the difficulty, even at World Championship level.
So Narasaki's race is run on number 3. It's going to be down to the slab for him, we do think, for him to make the final.
Yeah, as things stand, he's sitting in 7th place. He's not done enough. Of course, he does have another boulder still to go, and Kokura Fuji certainly hasn't done enough. We won't be seeing the 2nd place climber from the overall World Cups this year in 2016. The score's slightly slow and updating here in Paris. Remember, of course, results are only provisional, but still our score's being slightly slow to update, but I'm pretty sure that Kokura Fuji has not done enough here. We can have a look. So Manuel Cornu, he currently leads the way. Adam Ondra is sitting pretty in 2nd. He'll be fine, as will Mikael Mauem and Jeremy Bondet. Takuru Hori and Alexei Rubtsov, they've got 1 top each. They could be overtaken, or certainly Takuru could, by Tomoa Narasaki. He's still to climb on boulder 4.
It would be a turn up for the books for Alexei Rubtsov not to make the final as well with the season he's had. So it's really going to come down to the wire as to who makes that cut in 6th place.
Yeah, Alexei, 3rd place overall in the World Cups of 2016, so it would be a big surprise if he wasn't to make it. He has, of course, won World Cup this year, so we would expect to see him there, but again, immensely strong climber. And these have been very technical problems. He's a very technical climber too, but perhaps not the style that would necessarily suit him as well as others might have done.
Climber on the stage at the moment on men's 4, Albon Levier, the crowd favourite. We do believe he hasn't done enough to get through to the final, but he will be going out there to put on a show now for his fans. It's one of the great things about these guys. They just want to climb, they want to see tops. They just want to just go and go and go. It's one of the things they say, the competitors, you know, they are in direct competition with each other, but they really are just competing against the blocks, and they really want to get to the top.
Well, the DJ's just played another one, Bites the Dust. Is Albon Levier going to give him the satisfaction of matching the song? Or is he going to find a way at this desperate slab? He's making a good effort of it so far, but this is possibly the crux move. He really needs to use that volume with his left foot. It's very difficult to do it without. You could see he was eyeing up the top hole, thinking about not using that left foot, but I'm pretty sure he is going to need it to top men's four. You never know, could be proved wrong. Though he's still got more than 2.5 minutes on the clock, so he has got time to find new beats. But the way the route set envisaged it, he's going to at least need to dab that left foot, even for balance, even if he doesn't get much push off it. He will need that last volume.
I think the climbers that we've seen do this block, like you say, Charlie, they really are utilising that volume, even though it is what we would say dual textured. It's super slippery, but they are foot swapping on it, and they are just getting their heels down, really concentrating on not slipping, and just pretending that it's got friction at the end of the day.
As we watch Albon prepare for his next attempts on men's four, he's got about 2 minutes on the clock, just under. I'll just bring you up to date with the standings as things are in the women's semi-final. Janja Garnbret, you won't be surprised to hear, has an early lead, 47 plus. 2 climbers still to go, remember, Annette Verhoeven and Jane Kim, but Janja Garnbret, she'll be in the final. She's done enough, 47 plus. Second place, her compatriot Mina Markovic. Julia Chanaudu, who we saw climbing earlier, she's in third. Jessie Pilz is in fourth, and then tied in fifth, Magda Rock, Claire Bourfind, Alina Ring, all tied in fifth place. Christine Schranz and Mathilde Becerra tied in eighth. So we still have 2 climbers to go, so the top 6 are guaranteed a place in the final. However, if you are below that, you are in the potential drop zone. 8 climbers will progress from that semi-final. Janja Garnbret, as he has so often this season, is provisionally leading the way.
Just to take the final look then, just over a minute left for Albon to get the slab done. Really struggling on this lower section, but you can see that what he's moving up to there. It's great to progress towards the hold, but that's barely even a hold. It's just like the worst credit card edge ever. You do wonder on this type of problem as well whether the conditions will be affecting the climbers later on. You see the brush is working really hard. He's brushing it himself there. See the brush is just off screen to the left, really making sure that boulder stays clean for them. You know, the temperature could be rising, but at the end of the day, it's probably not made that much difference with only 20 climbers. What would you say?
Là derrière Albon, il en restera un, et derrière Anna, il en restera une. Celle qui a une main de fer dans un gant de velours.
So close, but yet so far for Albon Levier, out of time. But you know, he did a great show for the crowd, and they really supported him. That's great. But I do think it's going to be one move too many for Albon, though. He's not going to make the final, which, qualifying in first place, he's going to be disappointed by that.
Ouais, mais nous on n'a pas le classement provisoire du bloc. Tu peux nous le mettre, s'il te plaît, parce que je crois qu'on va pas en revenir quand on va regarder les résultats. Alors, malheureusement.
So Tomoa Narasaki, if the reigning World Cup champion wants to make it into the final in the World Championships here in Paris, he needs to top men's boulder 4, and that has proved anything but easy. Manuel Cornu being the only man who has done it so far.
Yeah, so it's surprising in a semi-final with 4 boulders, it is only, well, currently it's 1 boulder to get you through to the final. So route setters have set a really stern tour here, really, really hard, and that's possibly a bit of a surprise for them. So they're going to have to work on their tactics for the finals to make sure, you know, they don't overcook it. But it's such a hard game route setting at this level to get this right. And you know, they've had the qualifying round, but moving in from the kind of the climbing wall for qualifications that was at the back of the arena, moving onto the main stage here, setting the boulders during other rounds as well, really difficult conditions. To come out and set the perfect tour is just mind-blowingly difficult.
Alors, mesdames et messieurs, pendant qu'il y en a qu'on va les laisser arriver et sortir du jaune, je voulais remercier bien sûr tous nos partenaires de ces championnats du monde. Sans eux, on n'aurait jamais pu y arriver. Le CNDS avec le Centre national de développement du sport. On remercie la région d'Île-de-France, la mairie de Paris, évidemment, dans nos partenaires. Alliance, Cabinet Gomis, Garrigue,
So Tomoa Narasaki, we're now into the final few minutes of this men's boulder semi-final. We can see them there wearing number 1, of course, reigning champion. As things stand though, he is in joint 7th with his compatriot Tomoaki Takata. So as it is, he will not make the final here. That you have to say would be a huge surprise if the reigning World Cup champion couldn't make it. A man who will make it is Manuel Cornu, the only man with 3 tops. Adam Ondra, he got 2 tops, he'll be safely through. Jeremy Bondi, Mikhail Mawem, Takuru Hori and Alexei Rubtsov are the current top 6. Tomoa Narasaki just outside that. Can he do it?
Here we go then, Tomoa Narasaki. Oh, just blew his foot right at the end there. Tomoa Narasaki really needs this. Like Charlie said, around 2 minutes left to get this done, and it would be a real turn up for the books for him not to make the finals. But it's such a hard competition, so many different climbers.
I've just done the maths actually. If Tomoa can get a bonus here, it should be enough. Let's have a look. Let's just do the maths.
Like you say, Charlie, this is getting really, really close, and whilst you have a look at the results there, we'll keep our eyes on Tomoa. So difficult to, I mean, he probably doesn't know what he needs to do here, but he doesn't seem to be getting on with the bottom section of this slab all that well. But this is Tomoa Narasaki. He is known for just pouncing through a boulder, so I really do hope he can make it. Secures the bonus. Charlie, that might be enough.
Well, I think it's going to come down to attempts. Here we've been so busy focusing on the action, and we have the women's lead semi-final going on in the background. But I think it's going to come down to attempts here, because Alexei Rubtsov, he had 1 top, 3 bonuses and 7 attempts. Tomoa, he's got 1 top, so if he tops it, no problem, he's in. However, there will be a limit on the number of attempts he can have, because he currently has 2 bonuses, 2 attempts.
I think he might have done enough, Charlie. He did secure the bonus on that go. It's a little bit tricky for us to know from here how many attempts that was. We'll keep an eye on it, but it might be just enough to scrape in.
It will come down to attempts, that's for sure. If he can top it, he saves us all the maths, he saves the judges any issues. But I think this comes down to a number of attempts he took to get that bonus hold. He's already had the bonus. We see him miss it there. He has already had it. So it will come down to how many attempts it took him to get that bonus. He's now got 15 seconds to top it.
This jumps on for a final go, but I think it's going to be too much. Not enough time unless he can somehow levitate to the finish hold. Only a number of seconds left. 5 seconds for Tomoa Narasaki. Needs a dyno for the finish. His time is up. And that does end the competition. And we are really still interesting round.
We're still hanging on the result here to see if Tomoa Narasaki, how many attempts it took him to get that bonus hole is going to be the key here. I don't think the scores will have updated just yet, and it means that we can have a. Let's just have another look at this. So that's when he got the bonus. So he knew as soon as he crossed that left leg through that he'd lost his balance. He shouted. It looked as if he was shouting himself before he even moved, but he just knew so well what his body was doing.
That was a really interesting finals. Quite a lot of the big names absent from the finals list. You know, the list is provisional, but we do get a good feeling of some of the names missing. Sean McCall being one of them, Alban Levier, Yone Kruder, big names missing out. Rustam Gelmanov as well.
Yeah, Kokoro Fuji, 2nd place overall in 2016 Boulder World Cup. So, I mean, it's extraordinary, and we nervously wait. Well, not as nervously as Alexei Rubtsov, but we nervously wait to see whether Tomoa Narasaki has done enough.
Just in case that wasn't entertaining enough, straight back to the lead semi-final with the women. This is the final climber out, so just in time here. Yang Kim, the one and only, absolute legend in the game. It'd be really great for us to see, hopefully, a high point, or at least get to see some action higher up on the wall that we've not managed to catch so far. Not sure if you guys can hear on the microphones, but the DJ's kind of put on some smooth love songs. I'm not sure if that's supposed to represent Yang Kim's climbing style. It might be, I don't know about this DJ.
No, he's had a few questionable selections. I've tried to let them go. Just had a a good point raised by Social Media Joe, who gets loads of shout-outs now, becoming quite the celebrity in the climbing world. Social Media Joe, he's just said you have to use the bonus, not just touch it in order to get awarded the bonus. So perhaps Tomoe Narasaki, we were saying it'll come down to attempts. The judges might not award it to him. It depends. We weren't actually watching exactly how he used the bonus because we were hoping he might top. So still in the balance here.
I think that's one of the hardest rules to define. That's going to be a really tight one for the judges to call, especially when it comes to a slab. I mean, some of those holds to use in control or to use to make positive progression. I mean, you can barely make progression in any of those holds, never mind positive progression. So that would be a really tight call for the judges if it was going to go down to that.
It's a very subjective call, and Joe's absolutely right. But I can tell you the scores have updated here, and as things stand, the judges have awarded it to Tomoe. So as it stands, Tomoe Narasaki will be in the final. He takes the place of Alexei Rubtsov. It was a complicated one, that. If he topped it, it would have been very simple, cruised into the final. But as it was, he's got to get the bonus. But when we say get the bonus, as Joe rightly points out, it's using the bonus. And sorry, that's we should make that clearer when we say get the bonus. We mean when he's awarded the bonus. You've got to use the bonus hold. And it is a subjective judgment the judges have got to make. But as things stand, he not only was awarded it, he got the bonus, but he did it in the right number of attempts to take the place of Alexei Rubtsov in the final.
I would say that's a good call. From what we saw on the screen, I personally would say, yep, that's the right call from the judge.
Yeah, so it's a phrase we use. He gets the bonus, but there's a bit more to it than that. But the judges say he's used it.
C'est la championne du monde en titre à Rivon et c'est celle qui a le plus grand nombre de victoires en Coupe du Monde de difficulté dans l'histoire de l'escalade. Elle dépasse de une victoire Angela Eker, qui avait été la dernière championne du monde ici.
It's quite extraordinary watching Jane Kim actually, because you know exactly what you're going to get, and no matter how many times you've seen it, it's just as enjoyable to watch because it's just extraordinary control. These are moves that top 20 climbers in the world have not only struggled with, they've fallen off. And Jane Kim, she just cruises up there, and it never ceases to come as a surprise when she actually does fall off, because she's normally showed no sign of fatigue up until that point.
Well, it's interesting. She did actually seem to get herself in a bit of a situation there, wrong-hand herself on a move that other climbers have fallen off. She managed to swap hands, go back down, sort herself out. As you can see there, I do believe she has a watch on her side. Check the time and carry on. That's the kind of how kind of comfortable she's feeling in the route right now.
It's one of the bits of beta that the route setters gave us actually, that this is a route that you need to read correctly. It's a really hard route to correct on, so if you don't get the sequence right, getting your hands or your feet swapped over, it's actually really difficult. You've really got to read it correctly first time. It's not a route with a lot of big holds where you can get yourself back in position and go again.
I think what's going to be interesting in this next stage is that route setters say this is really super powerful. Yang Kim, not particularly known for kind of fast, powerful climbing, so she's really going to have to race through this section and get up into the headwall as fast as possible.
Alors c'est vrai qu'on se demande, attention parce qu'il ne faut pas qu'on pense encore, oui, il va faire des blagues techniques, c'est pas du tout le coup, mais elle a commencé à devenir un peu moins performante quand elle s'est partie avec cet hiver. Et est-ce que ça n'a pas bouleversé un petit peu ses habitudes? On ne sait pas.
So as we move into the blue holds, that is the top third of the route. Give you a bit of an idea where we are.
We haven't had a top on this women's route just yet. So Jane came across the last climber out. Can she provide us with a top? Just to give you some idea, Janja Garnbeck came closest to topping. She's on 47 plus. It's a bit 4 moods further on than Jane.
Awesome work there from Yang Kim, just getting so close to the top of this route. Come on, Jane. Looking really good. We've not had the privilege of seeing this route. Oh, blew it right at the top. Jane Kim, Charlie, where does that leave her, do you think?
It'll certainly leave her in a position to make the final. I don't think there's much doubt about that. Yeah, that'll be enough for a second, I think. Certainly more than enough to make the final. Jane Kim obviously does get tired, the puff of the cheeks, it's about as close as we ever see to her being fatigued. We'll have a recap for the results for you very shortly. Jane Kim just in tying there. She's the final climber out this evening here in Paris. You can see there the speed wall on the left currently being used for the para climbing. The bouldering right in the middle and the lead wall on the right. So just to confirm, your final tomorrow will be 3 French climbers in the top 6. Manuel Cornu, Adam Ondra, Jeremy Bonde, Mikhail Mawem, Sakuru Hori and Tomoa Narasaki are the top 6. Alexei Rubtsov just misses out, as does 2015 Boulder World Cup champion Jong Won Chon. Gabriele Moroni of Italy also misses out. Yeah, and it's a massive surprise as well. Yane Kruder snuck into the semi-final, finishes 11th here. Kokoro Fuji, 2nd place overall in 2016 Boulder World Cups. Alban Levier, Sean McCall, Rustam Gomanov. What a list of climbers not to make the final here in Paris. It's going to be a fantastic final, but some huge names missing. We'll see that. And we're going to get the women's lead semi-final results. So we go, Janja Garnbret topping the standings. How many times have we said that this year? Mina Markovic takes 2nd. Yeah, Jane Kim, I thought it might have been 2nd. She finishes 3rd. More than enough though. Anneke Verhoeven won last time out in Arco. She'll be in 4th place. Julia Chanaudy in front of her home crowd. She will be 5th. Jessie Pilz will be 6th. Claire Burfind will be 7th, and Alina Ring 8th place. They are your finalists for tomorrow. The final 2, they will be delighted with that result. Magdalena Rock already woke up, won it. She won't make it. She won in Imps back in August. She won't be in the final. Mathilde Becerra won't be either.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm absolutely exhausted just from watching the competition here tonight.
Christine Schranz, Salome Roman, Charlotte Jurif, Yuka Kobayashi and Sophie Collar. Some massive names here. Katarina Posch, Hannah Schubert, Delaney Miller, Margot Hughes, Eloise Dumont. They all miss out. So plenty of surprises. We see there as well Helen Janico. You might have expected her to be higher up. So an action-packed night here in Paris. We've got more for you tomorrow. We've got a packed schedule tomorrow. We start off at 9 a.m. with the men's lead semi-finals, women's boulder semi-finals. We hope you can join us then, settle in for a full day of climbing.
Ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs, please welcome the IFSC Paraclimbing World Championships 2016 medalists. in the male limited range power or stability level 1 category. Veuillez accueillir le podium des championnats du monde 2016 d'handi-escalade, déficients physiques et neurologiques, niveau 1, messieurs.
Hopefully you're still with us here in Paris. Slight choreography issues there. We were not aware that the paraclimbing podiums were about to take place, but they are, and we will be going down live to them in just a second. Mike, you're going to be here all weekend. How did you find that as a start to the proceedings here in Paris?
Well, I mean, from sitting where we are, we have an incredible view of kind of the arena, and this is just a semi-final, and the atmosphere in here was electric all throughout the competition. You know, we do give a special mention to the French team, and obviously the French supporters here is really strong, but all the nations was absolutely brilliant, and you know, it was pretty lively here in the commentary box with a lot going on, but absolutely great start to the weekend.
Yeah, we have got a succession of guests to join us here in the commentary box in the vacant seat, the guest seat. We had Jakob Schubert and Robin O'Leary, as well as Vives Maheta, who did most of the shift today, but we've got, I think it's 11 or 12 athletes, coaches, officials, route setters lined up over the weekend, so we have got plenty of people to keep you entertained throughout this festival of climbing. But in the meantime, we've got the podium ceremony for the men's visually impaired paraclimbing, which we saw earlier on today. Just about to cut down to the stage so we can see the podium as the results are announced. The arena just descended into silence.
The bronze medalist representing Italy, la médaille de bronze représentant l'Italie, Simone Sassani.
Here we go, the podium ceremony underway. You can probably hear the cheer in the background from the crowd.
It's brilliant there. The chap who's won third place there with his guide dog on stage. Some of the dogs here for this weekend have been equal celebrity to the paraclimbers. Just shows just how much it takes for these guys to get to this level of competition. And just the level of support in the arena for the paraclimbers is absolutely inspiring.
Yeah, just to give you some idea of the difficulty, the men's visually impaired route that we briefly saw this evening, it's around 7A in difficulty, which to many recreational climbers may be at the very top of their grade or outside their grade, so it gives you some idea. Of course, do have a sight guide who helps them with the climbing, talks them through the moves, but absolutely extraordinary climbing 7A.
I think it's a really emotional ceremony here for these guys. This is the final of the World Championships, and it means so much to these guys to make the final, and the crowd is really knowledgeable as well. They know what's happened.
Yeah, I was just sorting through my notes to find your podium for the men's B2 visual impairment category. Third place we saw in there Simone Salvagni and Mathieu Barbe, second place. Just seen him get onto the podium. But taking first place, Sho Aita of Japan, Team Japan, that would seem dominating just about every part of climbing right now. I suppose with the possible exception of lead climbing, where Slovenia seems so dominant, but Japan having an extraordinary 2016, and they claim a gold medal here in the World Championships with Sho Aita.
What's great about
the B2 category?
What's great about the vision impairment B2 category, we did actually see two tops of that route. So it did come back to countback, I believe, to see who actually won that. So the route setters really nail on the head there, and it meant that the paraclimbers put on a great show for the crowd.
And we'll hear the national anthem of Japan.
climbing World Championship medalists.
Nice moment as all the climbers, 3 climbers, all on the top step of the podium. Our first podium ceremony of Paris 2016 is the men's visual impairment B2 paraclimbing.
For me, Charlie, this is one of the most inspiring moments of the World Championships. Absolutely love to see the passion of these guys, and just what it takes for them to be able to climb that hard is mind-blowing. You may be able to see we are just looking just off left there, because we can see the podium ceremony. Really great emotion on the climber's face.
We're going to have no less than 7 podium ceremonies for you this evening. We are going to be live streaming 2 of the para climbing finals exclusively. The other 7, of course, took place this evening. And we will see the ceremonies from them today.
Paraclimbing World Championship 2016 medalists in the male limited range power or stability level 2 category. Veuillez accueillir le podium des championnats du monde 2016 d'escalade, déficients physiques et neurologiques, niveau 2, messieurs. Medalists representing Russia, la médaille de bronze représentant la Russie, Vladimir Netsvetayev Dolgalev. Silver medalists representing Italy, la médaille
third place
représentant l'Italie,
in the men's RP2, got Vladimir Netsvetayev Dolgalev. Try saying that in a hurry. Second place, that's Alessio Conomasini.
Gold medalists and the male limited range power or stability level 2 paraclimbing world champion 2016 representing Israel. La médaille d'or et le champion du monde 2016 escalade déficient physique et neurologique niveau 2 messieurs représentant l'Israël, Nive Porat.
And your winner this evening, men's RP2, Nive Porat representing Israel. That's Marco Scalaris, president of the IFSC, handing out the medals. Got Thunderstruck from AC/DC, randomly enough, ringing out around the Accor Arena here in Paris.
So the RP2 podium here is for the guys with considerably increased muscular tone, which means impaired muscle power.
So congratulations to Neve,
Mesdames et messieurs, the Paraclimbing World Championship
men's
medalist.
RPT world champion. That's got to be a pretty good feeling. And they join him on the top step, Vladimir and Alessio.
Great scenes here in Paris on the first day of live streaming. Really emotional finish to the semi-final rounds in the men's bouldering and the women's lead with the paraclimbing podium.
Yeah, and it's great to see a lot of the crowd stayed on. There's still at least 1,000 people, absolute minimum, in this enormous Accor arena. It's great to see.
Ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs, please welcome the IFSC Paraclimbing World Championship 2016 medalists in the male limited range power or stability level 1 category. Veuillez accueillir le podium des championnats du monde 2016 d'handi-escalade, déficience physique et neurologique niveau 1, messieurs.
So this is the presentation for paraclimbing RP1. Again, impaired muscle power. Slightly different to the RP2 category.
Just jumping the gun, hold on, hold on. Your time will come. Everyone pretty eager to get on the podium here.
Very easy to be nervous in this environment with 1,000 people watching you on your podium.
That was Connor King of the USA receiving his medal from Marcus Scolaris, president of the IFSC.
The silver medalist representing Germany, la médaille d'argent représentant l'Allemagne, Nils Helsberg.
Second place then on the podium, Neil Helsberger from Germany. Another incredible performance tonight. And the DJ's giving him a cracking tune to get up onto the podium with. Really enjoying the moment. Look at that. Great.
He likes his AC/DC for the podium ceremonies. Maybe not, you know, if we're looking for decorum, perhaps not the first choice, but I think it adds to the atmosphere nicely. And I like AC/DC.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, true.
World Champion 2016, representing Germany. La médaille d'or et le champion du monde 2016 d'handi-escalade, déficient physique et neurologique niveau 1, messieurs, représentant l'Allemagne, Frank Corbinian.
So, coming in, Frank, there he is. That is one happy man, a World Championship gold medal 2016.
Good job, my man. That is how you celebrate a podium. Yes, great moment here.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the national anthem of Germany. Mesdames et messieurs, veuillez vous lever pour l'hymne national de l'Allemagne.
Here is the German national anthem.
and gentlemen,
How's that for a victory scream?
Climbing World Championship
Savouring every moment. You work hard to get to these World Championships. It's an extraordinary achievement in itself, but to win, even better. Quite rightly. Savouring every second.
Yeah, enjoy the moment. There's been a big build-up for these guys. A lot of training goes into getting here in Paris, and then to win, it's going to be emotional.
I suspect there'll be one or two Steins of Weizbier drunk in Paris tonight. They're not easy to find in this city, but they can be done. And if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be a German with a gold medal around his neck. My money's on him to find the beers. So,
Ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs, now please welcome the IFSC Paraclimbing World Championships 2016 medalists in the female limited range para or stability level 3 category. Veuillez accueillir maintenant le podium des
So we're going to move on to the women's RP3 podium.
déficience physique et neurologique niveau 3 dames.
so the competitors just making their way onto the stage now. We've got 7 podium ceremonies for you this evening as part of this paraclimbing program.
Bronze medalist, representing Japan, la médaille de bronze, représentant le Japon, Aika Yoshida.
Here's Aika Yoshida, 3rd place in the women's RP3 this evening. We didn't see as much as we might have liked to the paraclimbing, but we do get the podiums. Result of 28 plus for Aika. Second place we got Oriane Moreno. We saw her climbing briefly. Ended up with a score of 29 plus. One move further than Aika.
Looks like a really tight final here in the women's RP3, Charlie.
Yeah, we could see it close to our commentary box. But obviously it wasn't on the live stream as much as we might have liked at times. We were able to keep an eye on it without following it closely. But yeah, very tight. Oriane, 2nd place, 29 plus.
The gold medalist and female limited range para or stability level 3 paraclimbing world champion 2016 representing Belgium, la médaille d'or et championne du monde 2016 d'handi-escalade déficient physique et neurologique niveau 3 dames, représentant la Belgique, Elodie Orbain.
Here's the woman they couldn't catch though, Elodie Orbain. She topped the route, nobody else did. She claims the gold medal.
That's definitely the best way to win the World Championships. Top the final route. Can't really get any better than that.
No. So once Elodie has received her medals, and her bunch of flowers of course from Marco, we will have the Belgian national anthem. It's something we heard a few weeks ago in Arco, and Anneke Verhoeven claimed her maiden World Cup win, and we will hear it again here for Elodie at the huge Accor Arena in Paris, where she has claimed gold in women's RP3. Elodie raises the flowers high above her head. Quick kiss for Aika, and I guess one for Oriane. There we go. Very French, very fitting.
Just enough time for pose for the official photos. Well done, ladies.
Not a bad day's work. So we don't have a view of the backstage, so we don't actually know which category is going to be presented with their medals next. So we await with bated breath. We have 3 podium ceremonies left.
The IFSC Climbing World Championship 2016 medalists in the men's limited range power or stability level 3 category. Veuillez accueillir le podium des championnats du monde 2016 dans l'escalade, déficients physiques et neurologiques, niveau 3, messieurs.
So this will be the men's RP3. We've just seen the women's RP3 medal ceremony. 2 French climbers, Mathieu Besnard, we spoke to him yesterday. If you watched our IFSC highlights, you'll have seen a short interview with him. Roman Pagnu was the winner. Gregor Selak of Slovenia, 3rd place. There he is. To say the Slovenian team is having a good 2016 would be something of an understatement. They can add a bronze medal in men's RP3. So they're already enormous trophy cabinet for this year alone.
I think that what that proves, Charlie, is what's great is throughout the federation for these countries, they don't just focus on one discipline. They're focusing on lead speed, boulder and paraclimbing, so it's all the way through. And that's what's so great about this sport.
There's Mathieu Besnard. As I say, if you watched our highlights package from yesterday, you will have seen him. Happy man.
The gold medalists and men's limited range power or stability level 3 paraclimbing world champion 2016, representing France. La médaille d'or et champion du monde.
It's France in 2nd, and it's also France in 1st. Men's RP3 Paraclimbing World Championship 2016 gold medal winner Roman Pagnu.
Big support in the arena inevitably for the French climber. Do wonder if this is going to become a bit of a theme this weekend. French national anthem.
I think we're going to hear the Marseillaise more than once or twice this weekend.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the national anthem of France. Mesdames et messieurs, veuillez vous lever pour l'hymne national de la France.
So it's France 1 and 2, Slovenia in 3rd, men's RP3 in the paraclimbing. What a place to do it. Capital of your home country.
I think they'll be particularly proud to be able to perform in front of their home crowd. Nothing better than doing it in front of friends and family.
Yeah, the French team does seem to be excelling themselves just in time for this World Championships, and I suppose like we've seen in plenty of Olympic and Paralympic games in the past, the draw of a home event is just so massive. The team gears so much towards it. We've seen the French team been doing exactly that, and it is beginning to pay dividends.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, I think the trophy cabinet's going to have to be quite extensive for this weekend. It's very early days yet, only the first round of finals we're seeing here. We got final Saturday and Sunday. So this will be the women's, the first podium we have for the amputee category.
This is women's AU2. It's forearm amputee.
La médaille de bronze représentant l'Italie, Lucia Capovilla.
Lucia Capovilla, 31 in the final.
That's a route score of 31 points, so looking at the length of the wall, that's going to be very, very close to her top. So she'll be pretty pleased with that.
She will top the route in qualification, top one route in qualification, sorry, to one of two routes. And 31 in the final. Melinda Vai of Hungary, she topped the route in the final, top one route in the qualifiers, so of the three routes she's climbed here in Paris, 2 out of 3 tops. That ain't bad.
Gold medalist and female forearm amputee para-climbing world champion 2016 representing the United States of America. La médaille d'or et championne du monde 2016 dans l'escalade amputée avant-bras dame représentant les États-Unis, Maureen Beck.
Maureen Beck, there she is. She also topped the route in the final. Looks absolutely delighted. You can see the emotion on her face. I like that Stars and Stripes North Face hoodie. She will be going home with a World Championship gold medal. That's a bit of excess luggage you don't mind paying for.
Looks like a pretty hefty chunk of gold that as well, Charlie.
They're actually pretty heavy. You have to take that into account. But as I say, if she has to pay a few quid in extra baggage, I don't think she'll mind too much when it's a gold medal. So here is the US national anthem. National anthem belted out there.
Singing her heart out there on the podium. Really emotional finish for these ladies here in Paris.
And we've moved away from AC/DC, the music a little more fitting now. Just saving every last minute on the podium, they don't want to get off. Sorry, we've got one more ceremony to go. You can get back on later and have a photo. But before then, we will have women's AL2. Just to confirm the results from women's AL2, Britain's Esme Hart was third, Kate Sawford of Canada second, and Lucy Jarridge of France first place. Here they come.
So the AL2 is full leg from the hip joint amputation to one-legged climbers.
The bronze medalist representing Great Britain, la médaille de bronze représentant la Grande-Bretagne, Esme Hart.
There's Esme Hart, Great Britain. She qualified for this final in third place, and she takes the bronze medal.
I travelled down here to Paris with Esme. I think she'll be particularly chuffed with that result after a bit of a struggle in qualifying yesterday to get through, and perform in the final third place. She'll be really, really happy.
Yeah, I chatted to Esme yesterday. She wasn't a big fan of the second qualifying route, might be a polite way of putting it. But
Representing Canada,
stuck with it, qualified third, takes bronze medal.
Kate Sawford.
Kate Sawford of Canada, she qualified second and also finishes in the final in second. Bronze medal for her, World Championships 2016 here in Paris.
Luckily the DJ's found the AC/DC album once again.
He does like that, doesn't he?
Particularly that one track.
It is easy to press repeat by accident on some MP3 players, perhaps that's the problem.
La médaille d'or et championne du monde 2016 d'escalade amputée jambes dames, représentant la France, Lucy Jarridge.
Lucy Jarridge, France, world champion in France 2016. We said we're going to hear the Marseillaise a lot this weekend. We're about to hear it again for the second time in less than 15 minutes.
Looking at the result of these ladies as well, she was by far and away clear winner.
Yeah,
3 or 4 moves in it.
Yeah, 23 to Kate Sawford's 19 plus and Esme Hart 15 plus. She also topped both routes in the qualifiers. Lucy Jarridge, a fairly dominant performance, and she will be rewarded with her moment on top of the podium here in Paris and hearing the national anthem of France, the Marseillaise.
Ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs, the Power Climbing World Championship medalists.
Esme Hart, you can't wipe that smile off her face, that's great. I know who I'd like to go for a night out in Paris with tonight. Esme Hart's going to be leading the charge into the bars of Paris, you suspect?
Yeah, and well deserved. A hard week of climbing.
The doors open for the public at 8 o'clock and the climbing begins again at 9. Mesdames et messieurs, nous souhaitons une excellente fin de soirée, ainsi se termine notre cérémonie. Rendez-vous demain matin, l'ouverture au public c'est à 8h et ça regrimpe à 9h. Bonne soirée à tous.
So, we have a very brief period off and then the climbing resumes at 9 AM tomorrow morning with the women's boulder semi-final and the men's lead semi-final. That kicks off a huge day of climbing here in Paris. You don't want to miss a minute of it. We'll see you tomorrow.